have freedom. Ghana, land of freedom. Everybody toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors. Toils of the brave which have brought results. Gold Coast will thank Nananum and elders, late Gisli Hayford, Mensan Saba, Bar Grant, Sergeant Ajete, and all who fought for freedom. Everybody! Toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors. Toils of the brave which have brought results. Ghana, we now have freedom. Ghana, we now have freedom. Ghana, land of freedom.
Hello?
A dynamic nation is at the
contribute significantly to business development.
In what you do, that we have amazing amount of human resource and people out there.
But make sure to keep in mind that there is vanity versus value. You need to be pushing for the value, not vanity. I beg.
So listen up. As a plantain seller, have you thought of building an app?
Technology does not care about your feelings, and it doesn't need your permission to progress.
An integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own people and representing a dynamic force in the global arena. You are the force, you are the dynamic force. You're the dynamic force.
I love it when you started speaking. Somebody said, where is startup getting all these speakers from?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to day one. So I want to say Akwaba to you.
Amazing that we are here because we're on a journey across Africa. Now, why entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is the pillar for Africa's growth and development
sector. So the third thing that I believe that entrepreneurs do in building a dynamic nation is that they contribute significantly to business development.
In what you do, that we have amazing amount of human resource and people out there.
But make sure to keep in mind that there is vanity versus value. You need to be pushing for the value, not vanity. I beg.
So listen up. As a plantain seller, have you thought of building an app?
Technology does not care about your feelings, and it doesn't need your permission to progress.
An integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own people and representing a dynamic force in the global arena. You are the force, you are the dynamic force. You're the dynamic force.
I love it when you started speaking. Somebody said, where is startup getting all these speakers from?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to day one. So I want to say Akwaba to you.
Amazing that we are here because we're on a journey across Africa. Now, why entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship
Hello, good morning to everyone. Hi, and welcome to day two of the Startup Summit Ghana edition. My name is Madame Mireille. I am the anchor of the summit, and it is my privilege and honor to be able to moderate and facilitate the session, whereby we are going to have a great time having different speeches, trainings, as well as a panel discussion. So I don't know if you guys were here yesterday. If you were, please let me see some comments in the chat box as to how it went down for you. But personally, it was absolutely amazing. I want to say a big thank you to all the amazing speakers we had yesterday. They were absolutely phenomenal. Starting off with John Appiah, and then we had Mami Kaya. We had so many amazing speakers. We had two different Kwames, Futurist Kwame, the other Kwame, we had Benjamin. We also had amazing moderators like Renee Boateng. We had Rachel. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone that showed up yesterday, to all the speakers that delivered absolute golden gems, and of course, to the founder and convener of this summit, Taiwo Adepoju, the startup specialist. I see that he's around, and I'm going to ask him just to say a little bit of hello to you guys before we kick off with our first speaker. So thank you. Awesome. That some people were saying it was awesome yesterday. I totally agree. And I know that you guys learned something very valuable. And beyond that, we just don't want you to listen to what the speakers are saying. We actually want you to start to implement the ones that you feel are necessary or very congruent with your particular business. So without wasting much time, let me first of all get Taiwo Adepoju to say hello to you guys, and then we'll play the Ghanaian national anthem, and then we can kick off day two with a bang. So my name is Madame Mireille, the bang creator, and this is day two of the Startup Summit Ghana edition. Welcome, Akwaba, to you all. So, Taiwo Adepoju, hi, how are you?
Morning, Madam Marola. It's a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. And I'm so delighted that we saw a successful event yesterday. Yesterday was fantastic. I'm hoping that today, as promised, today is just going to be fantabulous. And that's putting it mildly. I'd like to thank everyone on board. Renee, I see you. I see Derrick, right? Oh, Derrick, great to have you here. Madam Marola, you are just too much of an angel. You are splendid. So, look, guys, this is a special panel session. So we're starting off with Mr. Derrick, and I'm handing it over. I'm just saying, sit back, relax. This promises to be really engaging, beyond that, insightful, full of instruction, and great insights to take you to the next level. Thank you all, and let's get ourselves ready. The game has started.
Woo! Awesome! Yay! I like the energy. Thank you so much, Taiwo Adepoju, our TSS, as we like to call him, the startup specialist, the one and only. There's no double version of him in Africa, and he is a twin, and even his twin cannot compare to him with his energy level. So thank you so much, Taiwo Adepoju, for your awesomeness and your driven energy to keep seeing Africa being put on the map as the giant that it deserves. So we're going to kick off with Derrick, and he's going to be talking to us about leveling up from a startup phase to the next level in business. Who doesn't want to level up? I don't know about you, but I definitely hate being stagnant in life. I want to level up in everything I do. So I am so interested in what Derrick has to share with us. I can see him smiling already. He's excited and ready to dish out tips for us. So let me read his bio for you before he comes on. This dude is seriously loaded. And when you get to see him, you'll be like, oh my God, he's not just a handsome face, he's got a brilliant mind as well. So Derrick says that he runs a very unique business consulting firm in Ghana called Platinum Africa Solutions Limited, which is focused on helping organizations bridge their business gaps through the implementation of original business strategies and plans in various markets in West Africa and East Africa. He manages a small yet very creative team of consultants who create impeccable value for clients. He's also the creator of the Business Startup Clinic and the 5K Challenge, proudly sponsored by Access Bank Ghana. Basically, he says he's a human who loves to travel, loves to cook, loves to be present in the moment, and loves to share love in all he does. You see, I already love him just based on what he's written there, because he sounds like my kind of person, right? He's very energetic and resilient, a professional with strongholds in international marketing, business development, business consulting, creative writing, advertising, and content creation. He has high interest in entrepreneurship, business consulting, digital marketing, and social media management to help organizations build interest, create visibility, and increase revenue through the process. He takes himself and his work very seriously because he believes wherever you put your skill is where you establish your name. I don't want to murder his surname, but I'm going to attempt it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome right now to give the first address of the day, Derrick S. Vormawor.
Good try. Thank you so much, madam.
I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't murder it, Derrick.
I think you've done pretty much a good job mentioning my surname, because most people do get it quite wrong, especially people in Ghana. I don't know why, but that's okay.
Thank you so much. So the stage is all yours. Welcome, and thank you so much for honoring our invitation. We look forward to having a great presentation done by you now. So you have the stage, so I'm not going to interrupt you. You've got your time, so do your thing.
Thank you very much, and very good morning to everyone here, especially to Mr. Tayo Adepoju and the team at Strength Africa. Thank you very much for inviting me over to speak. I know I was supposed to originally speak yesterday, but I had to catch a flight back to Germany from Ghana. So I'm back home safely, and I'm glad that I get the chance to be here to share my knowledge and impact. And it sounds really nice when I hear my profile being read to me. Yes, it sounded really. I was like, oh, this guy, I would like to meet him, But I'm grateful to God for the opportunity and the gift that I get to share every now and then. When we had to make a decision about the topic that I was going to speak today, or touch on today, for me, anytime I get the chance to talk about anything, entrepreneurship or business, I try to, first of all, put my leg in the shoes of those that are going to be listening. And on that note, I would want to say a very good morning and thank you to everybody that is present here. I'm really hopeful that by the time the session ends with me, we are going to have a lot of new insights and fresh strategies for whatever it is that we are running. And I'm very happy to be here. So first of all, talking about the topic, leveling up, from the startup phase to the next level in business. The reason is there are lots of people who can start a business. I mean, starting a business is not all about running a business, because it's really about building one. Because anybody can start. It's easy to start stuff, but it's not easy to keep running. And in my new book, so one of the things I was going to mention is that I have a new book that is selling now. It's called Shoot Them Down. And in here, I shared in here new modern strategies, insights for helping you build your solid company from scratch. So I started on new things. There's something that I created called the business model map. I've created new tools like the business model map, which helps entrepreneurs to model their business ideas, into actual businesses and the likes. And one of the things that I always shared in the book was we cannot be talking about startups or strategies for startups without properly understanding what it actually means to be a startup. And I was in Ghana for the past month, and one of the things I did was to ask a lot of startups that I got in contact with, why do you think you're a startup? Why are you a startup? What makes you a startup? And I realized that most people have been going about the word startup, but do not really understand what it means to be a startup. So we are going to set off today's conversation, right, with understanding what it actually means to be a startup. So people have had a lot of concepts, or thoughts about what it means for them to be a startup, or what it means for a business to be clarified as a startup. And one of them has been people thinking a startup has to do with the number of years you've been operating. So maybe you are a startup when you've been around for between 1 to 3 years. Or you're a startup because you have 5 people in your team. Or you're a startup because you have just 5 clients. So delving into what a startup actually means is one of the important things I shared right in the beginning of my book, that in the startup phase, you are a startup because you are continually in the process of identifying a suitable business model that works for you as a business. So it has to do with your model. Now, when you talk of a business model is basically the processes that are involved, in running your entire business, how you're going to make money, what you are spending money on, who you are serving, what your key resources are, and the like. So the model is basically like your plan out of how your business will survive or run in the particular market or industry you find yourself. So one thing I also want to make clear is that this session is not going to be a lecture classroom sort of session. It's going to be very practical because I teach what I know and I teach what I have done. And that is what I've always done. So as a startup, you are in the phase of continually identifying a suitable business model. So you'll be trying out new models, different ways of getting your work done, different ways of serving your customers, different ways of developing your product, different ways of cutting down costs, different ways of exploring more revenue opportunities. So as a startup, you are identifying that suitable business model that makes sense for you. Take a business or running a business to be like creating music. When you're creating music, you'll be combining harmonies, lyrics, the tunes, the tone, different keys, different keyboard tones, the bass, to create a music that makes sense. So if you are creating music, you'll be trying a few things that you'll be dropping along the way. Some of them you'll be like, let me take out this harmony. Let's bring this in here. Let's do that in here. This is how identifying a suitable business model is like. So until you have identified that model that works for you, and then you accept as a company that, okay, this is what we are doing as a business. This is how we are running our business. This is the model that we are running with. You are still in the startup phase. So you can stay a startup for 10 years. You can stay a startup for 5 years. You can stay a startup for 15 years. If you've not got the right model that works for you, you are still a startup. And then you are not a startup because you have 10 employees. Neither are you a great company because you have 100 employees. Having 1,000 employees does not equal productivity. Your productivity is in your ability to maximize the resources that you have available to create and maximize output using the resources that are available, the human resource, your model, the materials you have to create something substantial. That is productivity. So your productivity doesn't equal the number of people you have on your team or even the number of assets you have. It's about what you do with them. So as a startup, you are not classified as a startup because you are having 5 employees or because you have been around for a year. There could be a company that starts as a startup for maybe 6 months, and after 6 months, they've identified their model that works for them, and then they run with it and they make it. And some too would possibly have been around for a while, but still haven't been able to identify a suitable model that works for them. And then they end up staying a startup for a long time. And one of the things I always share with startup entrepreneurs that I meet is it is okay to start small, but it is certainly not okay to stay small. And today, this morning, we are here because we want to level up. And even in leveling up, it's not just with the business. It has to do with even yourself. If you're a professional here, if you are a manager here, if you are an entrepreneur here, leveling up has to do with you going the next level. And one of the things that I want to make clear in today's meeting is something I've been seeing all the time. We are in a phase of life where things are changing so fast. If you come back to Africa, for example, you realize that the change happening in the world is not really happening as fast as it should in Africa. Let me take Ghana, for example. How do businesses run? So out of the analysis that have been given by the Registered General Department, there are hundreds of businesses that are registered every year. How many of them are still surviving? How many companies start and within 3 years are still able to run? When I started my company, Platinum Africa Solutions, I started in 2015 with nothing but a broad laptop. I'm not saying it because it's a motivational speech, but that is the truth. People have had evidence to what I'm talking about. I used my best friend's laptop to start my company because it was a consulting firm. I had the idea. I had some strategies I wanted to give out to companies. And building this company from scratch with that laptop to this point where we are a recognized business consulting firm, we are legal. We have partnerships that make sense. We are now bridging the gap between where our clients are and where they want to get to, bringing companies from Europe into Africa and vice versa, and doing all of these massive works, even as a business consulting firm that is purely online. I mean, we don't work in a physical space. I have my head of operations here in Germany. I have my head of clients in Ghana. I have my research team in Ghana as well, and some of them in Kenya. So we are all over the world getting work done for our clients who are establishing their business in Ghana. And one of the things that I learned from the process is being resourceful. And that is the first thing that I'll talk about when it has to do with level up. And I want to make this clear. I want to believe that most of us here, or if not all of us, most of us here are running our business within the African continent. And one thing I want to make clear is that, we have to own our continent. We have to build. And if you're running a business or you're building a business, come in with that fire, come in with that understanding that I'm not here to just try something. If it doesn't work, I'll go on to something else. Come in hard and strong and build, because, I thought it took the government to change the world, or it took the government to change Ghana. I thought it took great people or celebrities or rich people to make an impact in Africa. But growing up to this point, I realized that we can actually change the world with even the businesses that we run. So if you see what you are running or what you are building as a serious tool, as a catalyst for change, as something that is aimed to develop lives, is aimed to change things, then you don't run it just anyhow. You have people who will come work in your company. I always tell my HR that we have people working in Platinum, and they are not working in Platinum just because they are being paid for it. But these are young people who are entrusting their careers, their time into our company, into my hands. And we don't have to just joke with it. And this is how I see the people that we have on our team. You understand? So it is important for you to understand that if you are running a business, especially in Africa, right now we have to own our continent. We have to providing the solutions that we are providing in our continent as businesses and stuff must be done really well. And one of the things I even want to clarify is what even is a business? Because we've been talking about these things, startup, entrepreneurship, that. company, that. But realize that most people don't even understand the basics. What does it mean to run it? What is a business in the first place? Is it the company that you see out there? Is it a structure? Is it an office space? Is it that without an office space or a location, you cannot run a business? What then is a business? In my new book, I redefine what a business is as an activity, right? That involves one party who has a solution for another party's problem. Where the party the solution is meant for is willing and able to pay a price for the solution without doubting the credibility, ability, and the performance of the solution. If you want to know these definitions, you can, after I'll just leave details of how you can get a copy of my book. It started selling in Ghana yesterday, and so you can get one copy for yourself and read more about this. But then that is what a business is. So if you don't have a solution, someone is willing and able to pay a price for it. So that means that there could be a party that is willing to have the solution, but not able to pay for it. And then there's a party that would be able to pay for the solution, but not willing to have it. Now, the problem of having a business or a product market fit is having a solution that someone, a market or a target group is willing and able to pay for. So talking about the first stage of when it comes to leveling up, from the startup phase. So now you are in the phase of identifying a suitable business model. Now, how do I develop my model? How do I elevate my model to the point where it becomes a certain model that we are running with as a company? And just to come in, so I've talked about what it means to be a business, or what a business actually means. It's an activity. And then a company is an entity which carries out the activity of business. An office location is a place where a company carries out its business operations. So these are the things you have to understand clearly, what it means to have a business. So that means that if you don't have a solution someone is willing to pay for without doubting the performance of the solution, then you've not established a business in its sense. And then there's a company, which is an entity, a legal entity made up of people who are ensuring that the solution that you are providing is going into the market, and the solution is branded and packaged well for the supposed market to be able to pay and then use. And then there's the office location, which is what people have usually said or talked about as though it's the company. You see the huge building or the small building and say, oh, this is my company. No, that's your office location. That is just a place where you are carrying out your business activity. So the first level, when it comes to leveling up, has to do with being resourceful. Look, guys, and I'll tell you for a fact, if you're not resourceful, see, sometimes most of the problems of startups, I've worked a lot with startups in Africa, a lot of them, and you realize that most of them, the challenge has not been what it used to be, that finances, that they're not getting money for what they want to do. It's not about that. Most of them is about they're not being resourceful enough. Because if you're not resourceful, if I give you $1 million, you still blow it up. If you are resourceful and I give you $1,000, and one of the things I tell most people is that as a business entrepreneur, be so flat out good with what you do to the extent that you just know what to do with money. That's one of the important skills to understand. What do you do with money? What do you do with resources? So we wanted 10,000, but now we have 5,000. What do we do with the 5,000? Because it's the reality in business. You don't get what you think you deserve or you need to get, but you get what you were able to fight for. And through that, you're able to get more based on how you use what you get. So being resourceful is very important, and knowing and understanding what you do with the resources available. And I'll always tell people that when you're running, we have to run solid business in Africa, because we are that point, that medium through which the continent will become great again. And I said, like, through our business, we are going to be able to change the world. We are going to be able to make the continent better. Otherwise, if we don't take care, I'll be very honest with all of us. If we don't take care, a place like Ghana, for example, I don't want to use the word slave trade coming back, but it is foreigners who are establishing a lot of businesses in Ghana now. Go to some of the malls. They are foreign businesses. They are buying the lands, and our locals are there. The local businesses, most of them are not running really well, and most of them, it has to do with the strategy. It has to do with they not being able to level up. Because when it comes to a place like Germany, running a business is taken very seriously. Even before you are even given the license, you may have gone through some processes to be able to be clarified or qualified as a business or a company. You understand? So we have to just get up and then do things right. And one of them is being resourceful. You find businesses in Africa, for example, or most one-man owned businesses, the money comes and then the owner is, investing in like a new car or a new something that is not really going to benefit the company. Investing in things that are not very beneficial to the business to grow it. They be not able to separate themselves from the company, seeing themselves as a separate entity from the business. And that's one of the challenges most people are facing right now when it comes to running a solid business in Africa. Resourcefulness. What do you do with the resources available? You have human resource, you have 2 people. What do you do? How do you make use of the 2 people you have on your team? And my journey as an entrepreneur practically has taught me that the principle of being resourceful, knowing what to do with what you have. I had a broad laptop. How did I level up from the broad laptop to this phase? And these are the things that I'm sharing with you. Now we have on my team about 13 people who are working on my team. Everybody works part-time, but then they get really well paid, for what they have to do. Our clients are happy. We are getting results for the work we do, and obviously I don't use a broad laptop anymore though, just to clarify. Yeah, but then that shows that we've grown. And there's a natural principle of growth. When you're leveling up, you don't expect it to happen overnight. You don't expect it to happen just like that. There's a natural principle of growth. You cannot change the number of months a baby must stay in the mother's womb before it's come out. You can't change it from 9 months to 3 months. You have a premature baby. Even when it's 6 months, you still be premature. You cannot change the number of months that it has to take for a maize seedling to sprout and then germinate and then grow into a full maize plant. You can't change some things. Some things must happen naturally, right? And then you have to give and when you grow naturally, you learn through the process and then you become solid, because a solid business is not funded by $1 million or $1 billion. That doesn't make you a solid business. It's the structures, and I'll be talking more about it. The systems, the structures, the processes. Your model, the foundation. What makes you a solid company? And on the other hand, I want you to practically write. If you're writing or taking notes, when you're talking of leveling up, what does leveling up mean to your business? When I was in Ghana, I did a couple of trainings for some companies, and one of them that I asked them is, what does success mean to us? This is a question that I ask most people in my team, or when we're having our team meetings. At which point do we get to that we agree that we have leveled up or we have been successful? Because success to me would not mean the same thing to you. So one of the things about leveling up is understanding some key principles. Aside resourcefulness, understand what it means for you to level up. Understand what success means to your company. Does it mean an increment in your clientele? And also for you to understand that having 10,000 clients doesn't mean you are making money. There could be clients who are not bringing you money. You could have 3 clients and make 10 million out of these 3 clients, for example. So understand what works for your business and don't try to copy and paste. It doesn't work like that. As a business entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to create. You are creating a business. You are running a business. It has to do with creativity, being creative and understanding what your situation is and finding solutions for the situation. You understand? Because always something will be happening in a business. There's always going to be something you have to pay attention to. So one of the principles of leveling up here, like I said, is resourcefulness. Now let's move on to the next thing. I realized also that most people run their businesses without having a clear system. So if you enter into a space where there is no system, there is no structure, you can sense the confusion. What is the system I'm talking about here? And why should you develop a system for yourself? Let me tell you, I'll give you 4 things that consumers or customers are looking for right now. If you're able to understand these 4 important things, you model your business to fit these needs, and you won't get it anywhere else but here. So it's good you're here. One of them, everybody wants to save time right now. Every consumer, every customer wants to save time. For some strange reason, I don't know where we are headed to, but everybody's in a hurry. Everybody wants to save time. That's one thing. 2, everybody wants to save costs. Everybody wants to save costs. 3, everybody wants a lot of convenience. So I've talked about cost. Everybody wanting to save cost. Everybody wanting to save time. Everybody wanting convenience. And lastly, consumers are looking for somebody to trust. So trust. So when you're building your systems and processes and structure, focus it on the essence of helping your customers save costs and even yourself as well, saving time, creating convenience, and giving them a place or taking them to a place where they could easily trust you. Because consumers, when they trust you, they buy from you anything that you sell. It's trust. You understand? I have clients that I have consulted for years, about 3 years now, and I can tell you for a fact, at Platinum Africa Solutions, about 80% of our clients have not seen us before. They've not seen us with their physical eyes before. I mean, when I went to Ghana I was in Ghana last month, February, I got a chance to meet some of our clients we've been consulting for about 2 years physically for the first time. You understand? So that is the thing. And it has to do with trust. We barely have done a lot of marketing lately because we get a lot of word of mouth marketing from clients or referring us to people because they trust us. So if you're going to level up, aside being resourceful, it's about ensuring that there is a clear system. What system have you put in place to deliver your services at ease? What system have you put in place to ensure you have the right people on your team? What system have you put in place to ensure your marketing efforts are effective? What system have you put in place to ensure your business's sustainability? What systems have you put in place to ensure customers are able to reach you easily? And these systems, if you're able to clearly identify them, it leads you to the structure, right? So what structure are you running with as an organization? What is the flow of information, the flow of power and authority in your organization? Who talks to who? Who does what? And this also links to the processes. Okay, so have your system will entail your structures and then your processes. Okay, so your process, for example, if we are manufacturing pens, how do we manufacture our pens? And when you're developing these processes, you think about what I talked about: saving time, saving cost, creating convenience, enabling trust. Okay, so and one of the important things even in this angle is, the whole thing about leveling up. Also, let me make this clear: without customers, you are nothing. Without customers buying what you are selling, you don't have a company. You can't run it because you need the money. So everything you are doing is geared towards getting people to connect easily with your company and ensuring a sale, making sure that there is revenue coming in, and then you are able to make profits from these revenues that you receive, because you can make a lot of revenue and very little profits, or sometimes even no profits at all. Having $1 million in revenue doesn't mean you've made it in business. The question is, what are your margins? What profit have you made out of the $1 million that you sold? And most of these startup entrepreneurs do not pay attention to this, because when they see the figures, they seem excited, and okay, we made $1 million and stuff. But then out of it, if you ask them, what is your profit? Take all the costs involved, your marketing, your human resource, your production costs and stuff. What profit have you made from the $1 million sale? You understand? So when you're developing these things, you have to understand one thing: how do we create a seamless experience for our customers with our system? So our system as a company is meant to make sure that the customers that we want to sell to can easily come to us to buy whatever we are selling, or we can easily reach them. That is the thing. Because without them coming to buy, so if we create a system, so what essence is of a system that is so bureaucratic, so time consuming, so efforts consuming, that if a customer has to reach the company to buy whatever we are selling, they have to go to this person, that person, when they could easily send us a DM, or we could easily shoot a DM on their profile on Instagram and ensure a sale in the end. So what system have you put in place? And then if you keep looking back at the old systems that used to exist, things have changed. Like I said, we need new strategies, fresh strategies. Right over here in Germany, one of the strategies that I use in one of my works, I work as a marketing person in one company here, and I create marketing campaigns for the European region, and I manage social media as well. So I remember I was doing a sale, was one of the sales like that was last year, if I quite remember. Yeah, after the lockdown, so we had to increase our online sales, and I was like, cool, I'm going to create a sale. I created a sale, I put out on Instagram. And then I put a question on Instagram on our stories, because I realized people watch our stories more than they engage on our posts. And I asked, do you want this product? Do you want this product? Do you want to buy this product without having to go to our online store? Because I was thinking like the consumer. I didn't have to think for the consumer. I think like the consumer. If I were the consumer and I saw this thing and I want to buy it, do I have to really get off Instagram and now go and search for your website and make a purchase? Really? You think I would have that time? No. So I was like, if you want to buy, click yes, or I'm thinking about it. So anybody who clicked yes, who answered yes on the questions on my on the IG story, I just come to your DM, give you the link to buy the product straight. Just click it, make payment, you have it. And we had a lot of sales with that strategy. So if we had sat down to wait for people to now, we posted the campaign, so come and buy. No, get to them, make it easier for them, because realize people wanted to buy the thing, but they are still on, they want to still be on Instagram. And because they came on Instagram for something, and maybe they probably just chanced on our ad. So that is an example of a process which is part of a new system that we developed to ensure that customers can easily purchase from Instagram. You understand? So I understand that your system, which involves your processes and then your structure, should be geared towards making this thing, this wholesale thing, a seamless experience. It should be a simple experience for people when it comes to buying from you. So what process do we have to ensure to make sure that we manufacture the good pens that we are looking at, or the pens that we are selling, right? How do we market? How do we go to market? How do we sell? How do we deliver? Do you understand? And that is important for us to understand when it comes to developing your systems. And then one of the things also has to do with your people. If you are leveling up, you cannot level up without the people, because you need people on your team to level up with, to go to the next level with. So what is the quality of human resource you have? What is the quality of human resource you have? It's not about the quantity. It's about you being able to have a certain human resource that can get work done. One of the things that I did in my company was, when we were leveling up, we decided, okay, it's two things. Either we hire more people to level up with, or we invest in the existing team so that they can have more added skills to do more, which saves us costs and time of hiring more new people on new projects. So we initiated something that at the end of by half yearly, everybody's supposed to take a developmental course, which is paid for by the company. So we don't rather invest money in acquiring an office space for now, but rather put that money into our people. So now our people can do more. So someone who used to just do research can now also develop the business plans for clients, can now also design something, can now also take some other positions, which helps us do more, become more productive with the same human resource, because we are making the best of what we have. And another thing also, when it comes to leveling up, is with a strategy. What strategy are you using to level up? What strategy do you have when it comes to your market entry, when it comes to gaining the market share you want? And what is the strategy? So if I have to get to, for example, if I have to get to, let's say, Accra Mall from 37, and I'm driving, I could possibly use the Liberation Road straight to Accra Mall from 37, or I could use the airport bypass road, So where to get to, what you're going to do to get to where you want to get to. And that comes to the main question I asked: what does it mean for us to level up? What does success mean to the business? You understand? And then you have to pay attention to that strategy. So what strategies do you put in place? What are the strategies that you develop for your company to get to where you want to get to? And then one of the last things I'll share before my session comes to an end, when it comes to leveling up, going to the next level, is you. You are the storm. You are the calmness of the storm again. You are everything the business needs to get to where it wants to get to, because you drive the change. You drive the level. You install the systems. You make things happen. So, and I always say, if I'm going to drink from this glass of water, I can only drink what's in it. Once I finish drinking the water in this glass, it's done. And this is you. So what you can do, or the level, at the extent to which you can get to or you can go, depends on what you put into you. So how much can you do? How much can you put together? How much can you actually deliver as a person, as the owner of the business, as a leader, as a manager? Have you leveled up yourself? Are you abreast with the systems? Are you abreast with the industry? Do you know what's happening? What's happening and stuff in the business? You understand? So these are things you have to do or put in place when it comes to leveling up. There's a more to share, but I think it would be great to grab a copy of my new book, Shoot Them Down. It says, don't be a newbie, shoot them down. Discover modern insight for building a solid business from scratch. And I believe it's going to help you. I use this book to teach as well. I've taught a lot of entrepreneurs during the lockdown period. I also lecture online in a fashion school business. So I teach with the book. There are tools that have been reviewed by some of my professors here in Germany. And I'm glad that it's finally out and already making impact. So you can get in touch and then grab a copy for yourself, and you're going to learn a lot more. Thank you very much. And I'll be glad to take questions or if there are any. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Derrick. Wow. So many golden nuggets that you dropped for us. Wow, 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 wow. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time because you're about to step into a Q&A session with our moderator, and her name is Renee Botan. She's a dynamic transformational coach and an astute thought leader whose mission is simple: to beckon the best out of every person she meets. She offers specialized training, coaching, mentoring, and seminars on personal branding, self-development, and confidence. So please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the podium, Renee Botan. Renee, hi, and good morning to you.
Hi, Madam Mireille. Nice to see you. Just
nice
love
you again.
lovely smile. Thank you so much. And like
Right.
Derrick said, you tried with the name. You tried with the name. Mine is Boateng.
Boateng. Oh, so sorry.
Boateng. And Derrick is Vormawor.
Boateng. Okay, so those
Yes. Awesome.
Okay.
It has been a great session, Derrick. We are from the same tribe. So I when I saw the name, I said, that's my guy. So well done. I just really enjoyed your session. I was trying to write questions, but I was like, I understand everything he's saying, so there's nothing for me to ask him, but not everybody might, well, not everybody. What I find here is when you speak to startups, a lot of their issues sometimes is with, their staff. A lot of the time they're like, my workers, we are not growing because the workers are, doing this and this and that. A lot of the time is the staff almost like pulling them down and not, sort of hindering their progress. So what would you say is a good way to find the right staff that can carry on this vision with you?
Very good question, and nice to meet you, Renee. I think I'm
nice to meet you too. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to see you finally. Yes, that's a very important question, and it's one of the things I actually touched on in my book. It's in chapter 4, Building a Solid Team from Scratch. And I shared a very important experience I had. I failed the first time when I was building a team. It was miserable. I shared that experience in here. And then I also shared what I did right. To now I have, for example, I have people on my team who have been with us for about 3 to 4 years now. Recently, my head of operations, who was based in Ghana, because of what we do, we're able to help her get a scholarship to come study her MBA in Germany on small and medium enterprise. So people are elevating themselves as well, even in the company. And we have been together for a long time and still having a solid team. Now, when it comes to getting people on board, it's a very critical thing because we are all human beings shaped by different experiences, different backgrounds. I always tell people that the girl who has been heartbroken out there is the same person working with you in your company. The boy who has not had a relationship with his father is the same person going to have to work with your clients. There are human beings behind the team. And sometimes one of the challenges on the side of entrepreneurs finding people is, even those who get to lose this thing that, okay, it's work. So you have to do, like, this is the contract we have. You have to make this happen and stuff, right? But understand the element of the humanness of the people you're going to meet. And for me, building the right team always, to summarize what I shared in the book, always start with, first of all, one of my approaches that I use practically is I list what I don't want. Know what you don't want. I don't want on my team.
Right.
So I list those qualities I don't want on my team. It helps me to get what I really need.
True.
You understand? So I know I don't want people who don't respect structure and systems. And I'll link back to the thing. Do we have a structure and system? Because even if I get the right person to come in and I don't have a system, they will sense confusion and it will make them feel, they'll treat me the way the confusion met them.
That's so true.
You understand? So know what you don't want, first of all. And then put in your head, one thing always put in your head, and I'll call this wisdom, like business wisdom or business nuggets. Know that there will be always the possibility of finding the suitable person out there. Note that. But then also note that not everybody is going to be for you. Then again, not everybody is replaceable. So when you are getting the right person, you could actually get the right person. It could be just one person, but they could do so much for your company. And I call, just like in sales where we have key accounts, I call these people my key partners in business. You understand? So I know them when I find them. I know their mindset. I engage a conversation with them. And when you're going to get people on your team, like have a conversation, an honest conversation. In Ghana, we don't actually have honest conversation with people. You know, I tell you I'm going to pay you 500, and then you come in and then things don't go as planned, and I don't communicate with you, and then I just assume that you should be fine if I don't pay you.
Yeah.
Right? I don't tell you the exact things I expect from you, and then yet I have expectations. Because I expect you to get me. No, be clear. You understand? Be clear about why you even give the person opportunity. So for me, just to summarize this aspect, building a team, first of all, know what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And then try to now discern what you actually need from the kind of people you want to have on your team. And then now make sure that there's a system, even if it's a small business, make sure there's a system that the people who are going to come into the company will come and meet, so that the work will not be dependent on one person. Because some of them, their challenge has been that I was working with this person, he knew all my trade secrets. So when they left, they just did everything. No. So now if you have a system and a structure in place, you know that, okay, this is the process we get work done. No, it doesn't have to lie on the laps of one person. So if one person leaves, there's a system. So another person can come and fit into the system and then move forward with it.
Right. Thank you so much for that. That's really great advice. I hope everybody here is taking notes. Now, I've got a couple of people asking, how do we get the book? You can't just show us the book and tell us you get it in Ghana. Where in Ghana? And then we have people from Nigeria here.
Yes.
How? We want the book. How do we get the book?
So the book was actually just released in Ghana yesterday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we also actually delivering to Nigeria as well, because I have students in Nigeria too. I teach online. So if you're in Nigeria, for example, if you buy the book, I'll just give out a number here, and then you would call the person. If you're in Ghana, you arrange a pickup or a delivery. That you'll be sorted. And then for Nigeria, if you make the purchase, you can arrange with the person, the salesperson. They can just send it to the buses that come to Lagos for you. You know, so it shouldn't be a problem.
I think everybody on here, I think a great thing will actually be to follow Derrick. So if you're actually following him, he can, anytime he's updating and putting up the information and everything, then you can get it. Oh, slip him a DM. You heard him. Slip him a DM. Hello, I really need that book. Now, talking about, how to get your staff. Another thing that I find as well when I speak to business owners and all of that, what I've realized is that a lot, and I'm talking about Ghanaians because those are the people I deal a lot with. I realize that a lot of Ghanaian businesses don't know who their customers are. They think everybody is their customer, number one. Number two, because they are so in like such a rush to sort of make it in quotes, like sort of like get money. So they take on customers that they cannot even satisfy. So this is not your customer, right? But just because if you don't take that customer, you just feel like you are turning away money, then you agree to do the particular job that you are not an expert in. And that goes against your brand, that goes against your reputation, that goes against your deliverance, all of that. Now, how do you know? And so to just imagine you're speaking to, somebody who doesn't know at all, talk to them. How would I know who my customer is?
Very good question, Rennie. And I have asked this question to some people when I ask them, who are you selling to? For example, those who make food, right? And then they'll be like, oh, everybody, because everybody eats. I'm like, wrong. Even ice cream, no, even apples. Not everybody likes apples. You understand? So it's important to know who your exact market is. Now, how do I know the exact person I'm selling to? My strategy for this is using personas to create your target market. What is personas? For example, when I started my company, I asked myself the same question: who would need the kind of business plans that I draw? Right? Good. So I created a persona. Maybe this is Renee. Renee is starting a food business. She's a startup and she wants something to be able to acquire funding, with the business plan. Renee can afford to pay maybe 500 cedis for a business plan at ease and would need me as a consultant along the way. She has a potential to make it, I create a persona. So maybe I'm selling wristwatches. I'll sell to, maybe there is Jonas. Jonas is a corporate guy. He works in the bank. During the weekends, Jonas likes to go for weddings or hang out with friends. But one of the accessories that Jonas wants or likes to have often is wristwatch. And even with wristwatch, Jonas prefers a leather wristwatch because it's comfortable, and because he likes wearing his brown belt often. So I create a persona. So that means I'm selling to someone or people who are like Jonas. For the business, I'm selling to people who are like Renee. So now when I'm looking for customers, I'm looking for customers who fall within the bracket of Renee and Jonas. So the question is, having created a persona, where would I find the kind of Jonas? In the bank, in the insurance companies, in the offices.
Yes.
You understand? If I'm looking for people who are like Renee, where would I find them? At startup events, places like these, conferences, even in universities, because they want to start a business, graduates and stuff. So then that is how you create your target audience. So you know that this is what I have. Now, who would need what I have? Because I call it the sweet spot in business, finding the exact person who needs the exact thing you have. And that's when you have the sweet spot. As simple as that.
I love that. I love that. And even in your marketing, you can say, are you this? Are you fashionable? Are you this? You can ask those questions so that the people who are saying yes, yes, yes will be the ones that will respond. But the people who will be like, oh, no, that's not, then we'll just go away. That way, then you don't waste your time. I really, really like that. I like that a lot. Now, I really loved when you said, when you came to Ghana, it was the first time you met one of your clients that you hadn't seen, and you know how this whole, Ghanaian people, sometimes when you're so good at what you do, they think you're some old guy. So I can imagine them thinking, are you Derrick?
Actually, this is a funny story. So I was talking to, so when I was in Ghana before I moved to Germany, I was working with an artist, and then I used to talk to clients who wanted the artist on the show. So when they talk to me, we talk, and then I remember one of these big men in the event industry. So they do events for big companies like Total and stuff. Right. We had been talking. I negotiated. I don't know, can you push up for me? I was a finance guy. So when we got the chance to meet finally, and I was like, "Hi, say I'm Derrick," and it was like, "Oh my God, I'm very disappointed. I thought I'd finally met an age mate in this industry I could vibe with." And but he was like, but impressed. But then we became friends even after that. We are like, we are friends now. You understand? And I get that for most of my clients. But then when I started actually, but I think I was talking about this with one of my head of clients, and I was saying that it's interesting. But one, we've had a lot of clients calling us now, even from Germany, from US and places. And unlike before, none of the clients who have called us to work for them have ever asked us where our office is before. Yet they pay us to work for them. They've seen me, they know me, and I'm talking of clients who are older. This morning, one of the clients I've been handling called with the good news that we've got something that we're looking for in Ghana. And there's someone who's like my father's size, and they live in Germany. So when I have to go consult for them, I go to their home. His family like prepares my room, prepare food and everything for me to work. And after I'm paid, and I get back. You understand?
This is to say that you've done such a great job. And I want to ask where you got that confidence from. Because a lot of people have so much within them, but there's so much fear as well. They're just shriveled there, writing their notes, powerful notes, but not bringing it out. They're saying to themselves, oh, when I grow up, oh, now there are big people in the industry. They are big people. You can be that big person. You can be that big person. So what I want you to share is where you got that confidence to step out and say, listen, this is it. This is my company. And this is what we have to offer. Knowing that you have men as old as your father come and approach you, that you will have to give an invoice to. Do you see? So where did you get that confidence within you to not fear that, oh my goodness, how can I do this? And how can I do this? Because that is what a lot of Africans, unfortunately, are lacking. That confidence to push, but meanwhile, there is so much power within them.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Because when it comes to confidence, I shared in my book again that as Africans, we are raised to shut up, to voice out. We in Penisem, operate. You understand? Yeah. Where I got the confidence from, aside the fact that, I mean, I was not, and just to be honest and real with everyone here, I have not always been like this. I didn't grow up from a place where I was heading towards being like this. This was not my dream. And I just realized life turned out that I became who I've become right now. And I think it's one of them is God's plan, obviously, for my life, and which I'm very grateful for. And aside the grace of God and stuff, one of the things I think have contributed to this confidence in this lane is the process. The process, the process of like going through the mail, right? I'm not saying I've arrived. No, I'm still going through a process. I'm still evolving, right? But then you see, when you have gone through rehearsals and then you step on stage to perform, you perform with confidence because you've rehearsed. You know when the bandsmen are going to stop and punch. But if you have not rehearsed and then you have to perform, you're not confident. So the process of learning through like the work that I was building, or the company that I had this big dream for this company. I always told myself that I was building something to bridge gaps, bridging the gap between Africa and the rest of the world when it comes to business. That was the goal, right? And now going through the middle of, I mean, there were times I woke up one morning when I was in Ghana and I would just book the ticket and go to Tamale. I don't know anyone in Tamale. And I just went to Tamale. I was like, I'm going to pitch to businesses there, right? And then I sat on a motorbike and just was going around,
I
pitching.
think that what I'm getting from you is, apart from yes, God put it in you, it's also a decision that you make that I'm going to make it. Now, I just want in 30 seconds, because our time is up, but in 30 seconds, so somebody's asking, I'm trying to mobilize a team for my organization. I realize I have family members who are qualified to join, but personally, I don't find that convenient. So any help with that? Family members qualified, but they don't find it convenient. 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, so with that, for an example, like I said, know what you don't want. Have a system, a clear system. If there's a process, there are things, do's and don'ts, and then you have these things in place. It shapes the human resource culture, right? For me, you have to have that system in place that shapes people, because the fact that family members are qualified to work doesn't mean every family member is bad or would be good. Some are good, some won't be good. But if there's a system, there's a way to get work done. If they can...
On your system, you've written no friends, no family, and that's on your system. So you just have to follow that.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. We have another question here and another question here, but unfortunately our time is up, and it's been a great, great session with you. So enlightening, so practical, which I love. Congratulations on your book. I pray that you sell out and just keep doing what you're doing. And when people reach out to you,
yeah, the contact for my book. If you want to purchase the book, you can. I don't know if I leave it in a chat box.
Okay, put it in the chat box, and then we'll put it in the chat box. So everybody is saying thank you, Mr. Derrick, great one. Thank you so much. We could go on forever, but then we have other panelists as well. So congratulations, and we wish you all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Okay, great. I'll just have us pin this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Derrick.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Derrick and Renee, for that engaging Q&A session, the first one of the second day of the Startup Summit Ghana edition. And now we're moving swiftly to the second speaker of the day, and he's going to be sharing with us about cross-border trade for entrepreneurs, understanding trade, financial instruments. So for those of you that want to engage with businesses, with other people and other parts of the world, this session is for you. And taking us on this journey is Mark Darko. Mark is currently the president of Asian African Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He is also the senator of World Business Angels Investment Forum, honorably representing his country, Ghana, at the Grand Assembly. Mark is the chief executive officer of Heritage Capital and the fund subsidiaries. He's also a partner of SCG and Shield Financial International Global Leverage Equities Company and a partner in country, FED Group and Africa's Trade Hub. Mark was recently honored to feature in Passion Vista magazine, a global lifestyle and luxury magazine based in India, and was officially appointed as the magazine's publicist for Ghana. He is responsible for the overall direction and administration of programs, products and services of Heritage Capital, including the firm's financial performance, portfolio quality, business development, HR development, operations, and risk management. He is the key advisor in matters regarding changes in investment strategy, asset classes, asset allocation, investment risk, liquidity, benchmark indices, investment limits, and other operating parameters. Mark is an investment banker and an SME financial expert with 17 years of extensive experience in investment management, international trade, credit management, financial risk management, corporate finance, logistics and transport, freight management, and real asset management. Mr. Darko is a critical thinker and deal maker with an in-depth theoretical and practical knowledge and experience in stock, commodity trading, currency indices, MTNs and LTNs, bonds and bills, BGs and SBLCs, collateral management, adult training, and coaching. For many of us, that sounds like jargon because we don't really understand it. But guess what? Mr. Mark is going to explain all that to you. So please give a virtual welcome to our next speaker of the day, Mr. Mark Darko. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning and welcome to you.
It was a long one. I wasn't expecting that you read everything.
Thank you so much, sir. So the stage is all yours. So you have 15 minutes to deliver your speech to us. So thank you and enjoy your time.
Definitely. Thank you, everyone, and good morning once again. So just as you heard from Madame in her intro, my name is Mark. I'm an investment banker. I currently work as the CEO of Heritage Capital. I'm also the president in country of Asian African Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Ghana chapter. And I'm the senator for Ghana for the World Business Angels Investment Forum as well. Today, there is a rather interesting topic I want us to discuss. And I'm happy that I'm going to interact with business startups, entrepreneurs. And my previous speaker did very in enumerating certain things that are important for all business startups to be able to know, to be able to be successful, especially in this continent of Africa. So for discussion today is cross-border trade for entrepreneurs. And we are going to zero in on what we call trade or financial instruments. Let me see, this is a whole course on its own, but we'll do our best within 15 minutes to break it down and explain a few things that are of great importance to especially the entrepreneur. So that at least there will be a takeaway, something that you take home. When you hear about financial instruments and technologies here and there, you will appreciate what these things are and be able to know how these things work practically in your business. So let's start. What's cross-border trade? Cross-border trade, we simply mean trade between two countries. So trading with a country outside yours, outside the shores of Ghana, for instance. So when we talk about cross-border trade, we are talking about import, export, buy, sell arrangement. I'm sure that most of us here in the audience are entrepreneurs already, and those who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs. One thing I want you to know that one of the best businesses you can get yourself into to make some handsome profits immediately is the business of import and export. It's very easy to get it. So you'll find out that most of the time when companies are registering at Registrar General, for instance, when they list all the things they are doing, at the bottom, you will see that they write import, export. Yes. So it's a good thing to do. But one of the things that when it comes to import and export, people must be concerned about is the terms of the sale, particularly the payment methods. The reason is that you are dealing with somebody that you might never meet. You've not seen anywhere before. So for instance, you are here in Ghana and you find something that is very interesting, a product, perhaps in a place like South Africa. And you think when you import it to Ghana and you put a little markup on it, you can sell and make profit. Cool business, isn't it? But here there's a chicken and egg situation. What goes first? If you, the importer, decide to send money first to the owner of the goods, hoping that the goods will be shipped to you, and the goods don't come, what will you do? Conversely, if you're also an exporter, you find something and the thing is good in Ghana here, a product that you think can be sold on the international market. Perhaps on the internet, you find somebody who shows interest in buying that particular product. Okay, you start talking to the person on phone and you enter into a contract. Now, what will you do if you need to close a sale? If you decide to ship the cargo, the product, put it in a box or a container, put it in a ship or put it in an aircraft and send it to the person, and the person refuses to pay you, what will you do? So this gap is what's addressed in what we call trade finance and financial instruments. So we always say that for exporters, any sale is actually a gift until payment is received. Yes, because you've gifted it out until you receive payment, what you've done is a gift. And for importers as well, what I normally say is that any payment is actually a donation until goods are received. Because if you do not receive your goods, you have donated the cash to the person, isn't it? So this is what gave rise to financial instruments. So if you look at the screen that I'm sharing with you presently, you will see these financial instruments that have been carefully designed by banks and non-bank financial institutions that play the role of intermediation to facilitate cross-border trade. Some of them have been enumerated here. We'll go through them briefly, and because of our time, we'll talk about just two today, so that we'll keep it in our pocket. When the next time you go and sit before a banker, you talk about some of these things, and you tell him specifically what you want for your banker to do it for you. You can see the first one is what we call the documentary letter of credit. People usually call it the LC, or the letter of credit, or the LOC. It is normally issued by a SWIFT code known as the MT700. And you can see the second one is what we call the standby letters of credit, or SBLCs. Usually these SBLCs are the same as the third one, known as the bank guarantees. They are issued by SWIFT as well, MT760. Now we have what we call the blocked funds, MT799, bank comfort letter or bank confirmation letters, sometimes usually called the BCLs. We have the proof of funds issued via MT199, performance guarantees or performance bonds, and RWA messages that can be issued via MT999, MT998, or MT199. The RWA messages are what we call ready, willing, and able messages. So these are financial instruments, the basic ones that banks use to facilitate trade between two parties. Now let's consider the first one. Before we go there, one thing I want us all to know is that these things border on legality. So there's always a governing rule that governs these things. For the documentary letters of credit, for instance, we have the Uniform Customs and Practice Documentary Credit, UCP 600, the rules. These are rules that govern. Now, when we talk about the guarantees, like the bank guarantees and the standby letters of credit, the rules that govern these things also is what we call the ICC Uniform Rules for Demand Guarantees, number 758. These are the rules. They are rules, so don't worry too much about them. Let's discuss the letter of credit a little bit for you to understand what it means. You see a picture illustration of what we have here. A letter of credit actually is a written document presented by the importer's bank to the on the importer's behalf to the exporter's bank. Through its issuance, the exporter is assured that the issuing bank will make payment to the exporter when the international trade is concluded. So please look at, if you look at the bottom right, you see the seller there, nicely illustrated. So the seller identifies a buyer over there where the cursor is. So the seller has something the buyer has interest in, the buyer wants to buy. Okay, so they enter into a sales purchase agreement. The agreement is exchanged between the two parties. Now, before the sale is consummated, what happens usually is that the seller will request that the buyer issues to him a letter of credit and his bank, that when he shifts the goods to the seller on the other side, the money will be paid. So the buyer will go and speak to his bank. And here the bank we call the buyer's bank is called the issuing bank, because that's the bank that issues the financial instrument called the LC. Then the buyer's bank will issue the letter of credit to the seller here. Okay, so the buyer's bank is practically guaranteeing to the seller's bank that please speak to your bank. Sorry, speak to your client that we have guaranteed the sale. So the client should go ahead and ship the goods. So immediately the letter of credit is issued and received by an advising bank here. The advising bank will speak to the seller, who happens to be their client, and tell them that we have a guarantee from the buyer's bank. So go ahead and prepare with the ship. So straight up, the seller knows that payment will come. The seller will put goods on sea, put on an aircraft or put on road, on a bus or a truck, and then ship the goods. Then the shipping documents that prove or that give evidence that shipping has taken place will be presented to the advising bank, the bank of the buyer, the seller, sorry. So then the seller's bank will now inform the buyer's bank that, hey, we have consummated our part, the sale has been done, the shipment has taken place, so pay us. Then the buyer's bank will release money because the money would have been already put into the account of the buyer in his bank, into the and then the money is credited to the seller. Simple process, isn't it? Now ask yourself, if these things did not exist, how would the trade be done successfully? Because the parties don't know each other from anywhere. They have never met. So that if default, you can perhaps take the person to court. So the banks will come in the middle as financial intermediaries to guarantee the sale. Right. So a guiding principle of an LC is that the issuing bank will make the payment based solely on the documents presented, and they are not required to physically ensure the shipment. So all the banks want to see is what we call shipping documents to prove that there's shipment. Once that has been proven, money. So you need a letter of credit from every importer who comes to you, who approaches you and wants to buy something from you. So you have to speak to the importer to issue the LC to you in your favor. You are the beneficiary of the letter of credit. Now let's talk briefly also about the second one called the standby letter of credit. The standby letter of credit, sometimes we call the bank guarantee, also similar to the documentary letter of credit. The only difference is that, just as the name implies, the standby letter of credit is only standing by as a guarantee, waiting for default. So the buyer and the seller will enter into a contract normally. The seller will expect that when goods are shipped to the buyer will pay him directly into his bank account. So if that is done, and the payment is done, then there's no problem at all. Then the SBLC is not active. If something happens and the sale happens, that payment is not received, then the seller, who happens to be the exporter, will now go to his bank. Because they have the SBLC in their account, they can activate it. Then the seller will be paid. This is a simple process, and we have the picture illustration also here. First of all, you can see that we have an applicant for the SBLC and a beneficiary of the SBLC. The beneficiary of the SBLC is the exporter, and the applicant is the importer. So they enter into a contract. That the applicant will now speak to the issuing bank, his bank, to issue the SBLC to the bank of the beneficiary. When that is done, the beneficiary's bank, just as we saw in the previous illustration, will instruct or inform the beneficiary, the exporter, that so go ahead and let the shipment take place. Then when that happens, after that, it is required that the issuing bank will also send the hard copy of the SBLC to the beneficiary account. So that is done directly from the bank to the beneficiary. And when that happens, then they know that legally the SBLC or the BG is a legal document that they can rely upon when there's default. So these are the differences. The standby letter of credit is only standing by as a guarantee in case something happens. But the LC itself is not a guarantee, but it is a payment instrument because it will be cashed when the. So these are the differences. Now, there are so many types of letters of credit that I will run all of us through just a few of them for us to understand. So that when you approach your banker, you have an LC in your hand. If the LC is not the right one, your banker should be able to explain to you that this LC will know what kind of you need or what kind of risk. One of the types here you can see on your screen is what we call the revocable and then the irrevocable letters of credit. As the name implies, A revocable letter of credit is simply a letter of credit that can be withdrawn by the issuer without recourse to the beneficiary. So if you are an exporter, for instance, you are issued a revocable letter of credit, then you know that you are faced with a huge risk, because although you have a guarantee of payment from the importer, without recourse to you, the importer can withdraw the letter of credit. Why? Because it's revoked. So for instance, what some people can do is that they'll wait when you now put on sea and the vessel is set to cancel the letter of credit. What do you do at that point? The goods have already left. So it is important that we as entrepreneurs or startups who want to do business understand these things, so that when we are dealing with financial instruments, we will understand and know what we have and be able to use them accordingly. We also have what we call a clean letter of credit, which has no conditions on them, and some are not so clean. It means there are conditions that have to be met. The letter of credit is not standing on this one without a condition. Be careful when you are issued such a letter of credit. We also have what we call signable, non-assignable letters. These are letters of credit, they are signable ones, of course, that can be transferred from one party to the other. So for instance, if let's say you are a broker in a transaction and you are not the owner of the cargo, all you can do is to speak to somebody who wants to buy the cargo from you, not directly to deal with the product owners, but you can be in the middle, comfortably receive the letter of credit and then transfer to the final beneficiary, who happens to be the owner of the cargo. So you can get in there as a business person. You can do all kinds of things, use letters of credit to make money. Because if you have a letter of credit in your account, what happens most of the time is that there's confidence in the business you are doing. And your bank will be able to even give you a credit line or a loan because you have a letter of credit. But letter of credit shows that when you ship goods, you will be paid. We have other types called revolving letters of credit. Letters have a value that are usually higher than the value of your cargo, which means that you can do several business or several trades under the same letters of credit. Then we have a confirmed letter of credit. Well, this is one of the things I want us to note very carefully if we are taking notes, and an unconfirmed letter of credit. This is how it works. Confirmed letters of credit are letters of credit that are issued by two banks, so to speak. One bank issues it as the primary issuer, and another bank called the secondary issuer comes to add their confirmation to it. So you have double confirmation or double assurance that you'll be paid when you put your goods on the sea. We have back-to-back letters of credit and so on and so forth. We wouldn't want to go through that too much because our time is almost up. Now, what is most important now here is how do you get access to a financial instrument? A DG, and so on. This is how we are ending our conversation. The first way you can get a letter of credit is if you have the money in your own account. So for instance, you are an importer. You have seen something that you want to ship into your country. You are buying it. So if the thing is worth $1,000, you have to have $1,000 in your account before your bank can use it as the underlying asset or underlying security to issue the letter of credit on your behalf. This is what normally happens, and most banks in Africa do. They will not, most of them will not issue a letter of credit to you unless you have money in full in your account. Well, there are also some banks that you can approach. Look at the second one that can decide to extend credit to you. So for instance, if you have a good relationship with your bank can decide to say, all right, we will give you a loan to facilitate the trade. We will not give the cash to you. What we'll do is that we'll extend it to you and issue a letter of credit on your behalf. So when the letter of credit is issued to you, you should know that it has been issued as a credit line. It's not your own money. So the bank is taking the risk on your behalf. Sometimes banks will do this when you have other non-cash assets as collateral for them. For instance, some may use properties and other things. And especially if you have a good relationship with your bank, they are always ready, willing, and able to do this for you. But the part that I think will interest all of us here, something that I personally and my company can do to help those who do not have the money to establish a letter of credit to be able to facilitate the trade successfully is the letter of credit leasing. The letter of credit leasing. Sometimes there are people or institutions that have funds in their own account. These are excess funds that they do not have immediate use for. These institutions are able to block these funds in banks on behalf of clients who need letters of credit. So all you do as the one who needs a letter of credit issuer is to approach such people, and you pay a little premium for the LC. So then your money is not blocked, but they block their own money on your behalf and issue to the counterparty. When that is done, then you have not invested your own funds in the business, but you're able to leverage the credit line of somebody to be able to make the letter of credit arrangement successful. So I think this is where we'll end it. Maybe if there are questions, we'll be happy to take them and then explain some of the things that did not come out so well. I appreciate the situation. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mark, for that amazing delivery. So the questions are going to be taken during your panel discussion, which is going to come up after all the speakers have been done because you're part of the panel. So if you have any questions specifically for Mr. Mark, can you please put it in the question and answer box that is below, right beside where the chat box is. Type your question and also put the name of the speaker that you want to direct the question to so that Mr. Mark can see it and start to prepare to answer it when the panel discussion starts. Thank you so much, sir. That was really, really insightful. I'm very sure that many people that had zero knowledge about credit or how to get money and stuff, they are well enlightened now. So we're going to be moving swiftly to the next speaker. So thank you, sir, and we'll see you again during the panel discussion.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Awesome. So right now we have Prince Tumelo that's going to be taking on a session where he's going to talk about African values as a unifier and springboard for true prosperity. What a topic. Sounds so fascinating. And who doesn't want to be prosperous, especially as African? I definitely do. So I'm looking forward to this session. So let me introduce to you properly by reading his bio for you. Prince Tumelo of the Royal Batiolo, oh my gosh, I hope I don't ruin this, Batlokwa lineage in the Southern African region is the chairperson of the board at the Institute of Business Advisors, Southern Africa. This is a non-profit organization and an accredited member professional body with headquarters in Johannesburg, South Africa. Its core function is to provide grading and accreditation to the professionals who provide support to the small and medium enterprises. Its membership is made up of both local professionals and expatriates from across the globe who play a role within the ecosystem. He is also the founder and MD of Pele Advisory Firm, which specializes in professional services in finance, accounting, compliance, risk management, and governance. Prince Tumelo is a seasoned business leader who has proven himself in various roles and across industries in a career that spans over 20 years. He's a chartered accountant, certified business advisor, Black empowerment practitioner, tax specialist, amongst many of his accolades. Prince Tumelo was also a director and partner in global network of accounting firm Grant Thornton. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Royal Highness Prince Tumelo. So, oh my God, so Tsotetsi to the stage. Your Highness, please forgive me for reading your surname. Can you pronounce it for us?
Madam, thank you so much. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are. You are, sir. Welcome.
You,
Can you please pronounce your surname? Can you pronounce your surname? Oh, wow. Thank you so much, sir. So the stage is yours now for you to give your 15 minutes presentation on your topic. So we'll be back afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And you will notice that I'm greeting in afternoon terms because I'm coming to you from down here in the south of the continent, South Africa. Special guests and other honorables and attendees. And special thanks to the convener, Brother Taiwo and his team at Strength Africa for the invitation. I'm indeed highly honored to be in the company of such great minds, to be sharing ideas and insights into how we can together take Africa forward. I am, as you have indicated in the introduction, Madam, I'm from the Royal Batlokwa Nation, and we are scattered across the SADC region, which includes countries like South Africa, Botswana, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and other countries in the SADC region. And royalty is not a foreign concept on this platform. And thank you for all the honorings that you have conveyed. And I want to indicate this as something that brings us together, that unites us as Africans, because royalties and the important role they play is without question in countries such as Nigeria, Ghana, and other African countries as well. So Africa has the power to change its own history and to rewrite its own future script. Not only its own, but also of the world, because we are very important to the Americans, to Europe, Asia, and the rest of the world. And I'd like to start off by indicating and saying boldly that Africa has the power. And we're seeing this, I think, also with the launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is an initiative that seeks to unite Africa on the business front, you know, and enabling us and encouraging us to doing business within the continent, the motherland, Africa. And we do hail the launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the initiative and its great significance, I think, to the future of Africa moving forward. The first step is always the hardest. And I think the majority of us being on this platform, you know, working within the startups environment as professionals and also being startups ourselves, we have the advantage and first-hand knowledge that the first step is usually the hardest. In fact, as startups research shows that it takes, you know, between 18 months and sometimes up to 3 years to find your footing, you know, in the business world, to establish yourself. And I think the first speaker in the form of Derrick, the motivational talk that he has given, you know, is outlined, you know, in simple terms, what it means to be a startup, you know, and so that helps a lot because it talks to the model that we are developing and that we are embarking on in our businesses. So we really need to rally behind the initiative, the free trade area that has been launched, and we hail the leadership in the continent through the African Union, the African Commission. And then many of us, I know that we came here and we are on this call because we want to clinch deals for our companies. We want to level up. We want to do cross-border trading with other African countries. And that's what Strengths Africa is all about. And we are on the right platform. We are at the right place. And many of our speakers are addressing these issues and giving guidance and even step-by-step, you know, approach in terms of how we can achieve all of this. But please do allow me today to address a slightly different angle to how we are doing and about doing business between ourselves as Africans. And I'm going to address the core principle that underpins how we conduct business amongst each other. And that is our African values, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to talk to African values in the sense of it as being, or them as being a unifier and the launch pads, you know, for true and lasting prosperity. And there's one in particular that I would like to highlight and want to focus on for the purpose of this platform, this summit, and for the interest of time. I would like to highlight one that we refer to down here in the South as the spirit of Ubuntu. or Ubuntu, the spirit of Ubuntu. And that is the one that many of you might be familiar with, and I know you might refer to it in different terminology because of the differences in the languages that we speak. And I've just shared my screen now. I don't know if it is coming through, because I want to, is that okay, Madam, coming through?
I can see it. Well done.
Thank you, Madam. All right, so colleagues, the spirit of Ubuntu helps us to pursue the ideals of unity, of a unified world, of a unified Africa. There's a lot of talk going around about the unification of the world, which is good and true, and I think it's in the right spirit. And it seems to be advancing, gaining momentum, and it's becoming more and more of a reality. I think the more people talk about it, the more they showcase the world that is unified, the more it's becoming a reality. But have we imagined as Africans, you know, what a powerful force, what a powerful drive we would be if we had a unified Africa as one, because that is a core principle that brings us together, and that will result in strength and power for us to move forward. And spirit of Ubuntu also helps us to develop what we can refer to as mutual respect. Down here we have a saying that goes like umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. So that means a person does not live as an island. We do not exist as an island, but we need each other. And more especially in the concept and context of royalty, we know that a king cannot be a king unless he has a constituency or has the following of their nation or their community. And this is true to us as Africans as we begin and move forward in doing business with each other. And the spirit of Ubuntu also allows us to practice forgiveness, to look beyond the mistakes of others, our brothers and sisters, and instead to see the good in each other, you know, because there are so many positives, you know, in our linkages from up at the top, whether it's politically, and now we're bringing it here to the level of doing business with one another. And I'm aware that some of the earlier speakers have touched on relations between South Africa as a country and other countries, including Ghana and Nigeria. You know, there's so much good in our doing business together, in our coming together. And so we look beyond the things that seek to divide us and things that seek to bring separation, but we focus on the good in all of us. And the next point that I want to highlight, which the spirit of Ubuntu helps us to drive past, to drive through, is that of collaboration. You know, that we are all working towards a common good. We are working towards a unified Africa. And so therefore, we need to emphasize the need for collaboration. And I think other speakers would touch on it, you know, the power in collaborating. That, you know, as much as we want to excel in our areas of competence and expertise, it is very important to collaborate. In fact, it has already been alluded to by Derrick in his motivational talk, you know, that you need to leverage on the strengths of each other. We need to leverage and be able to collaborate with other people, and in this case, with other Africans. And the last bullet point I want to touch on, which the spirit of Ubuntu creates in our midst, is that of healthy competition. We need to accept that as Africans, we are one team. We are working towards one common vision. And that common vision, colleagues, is building Team Africa. We want to build Team Africa. And the world for so many years has seen us as one and has referred to us as Africa. For so long, they have not separated and distinguished, you know, between Nigerian, Ghanaian, and South Africans. It only happened amongst ourselves. And this has been the cause of a lot of friction, I think, amongst ourselves as Africans. And we need to bridge this gap. We need to see that we are all working towards a common goal and we are on the same team, and that is Team Africa. So a unified Africa has a greater calling. And I know that our first speaker has called us to own our continent. He has actually challenged us. And I would like to extend that challenge to say that as Africa, let us leverage on our strengths, the strengths we have learned and developed over time, and even from others, from those that we have interacted with, whether in Africa or beyond the continent. But we have these strengths that we can leverage on, and even our common values as Africans, the spirit of Ubuntu. Let us all build one Africa. And that is my call to action. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Tumelo. Wow, that was so good. I really enjoyed all the tips you've mentioned. And we also want to thank you for the fact that you've been sticking around to be part of the panel discussion. So if you have questions specifically for Prince Tumelo, please type it in the chat box, in the question and answer box, and put his name beside it so that he will know the question is directed for him and he will answer them during the panel discussion. So we'll be moving swiftly to the final speaker for today's session, and her name is Mireille Chivunga. She's going to be talking about digital economy and women as catalysts to deliver AfCFTA. In case most of you didn't even know what the AfCFTA stood for, it is African, let me get before I say the wrong thing, African Continental Free Trade Area. So she's going to be delivering her talk. So let me give you a brief about who she is before she comes up. Mireille is a globally recognized blockchain and digital transformation CBDC professional. She's also a senior government advisor working with several governments and international groups, including the Government of Bermuda, African Union, United Nations, International Chambers of Commerce, World Trade Organization, B20, G20 groups, etc. Mireille is well known for her work in digital transformation, blockchain sectors, having been in the digital economy and blockchain space since 2010. She's been recognized as a top 10 woman in blockchain in Africa and one of top 40 global FinTech for Good fellows linked with the United Nations. Mireille now runs and owns one of the few female-led Black African global digital economy blockchain group in the UK, and the only ESG-driven group focused on blockchain for emerging markets, women, and minority. Please welcome Mireille Chivunga, the founder, CEO, investor of Global Policy House, Digital Economy, Blockchain, and Investment. Hello, Mireille.
Hello, good morning. I hope you can hear me all right.
I can hear you very well. It's
Fantastic.
Nice to have you here. Join us at the Startup Summit Ghana Edition Day 2. So you've got 15 minutes, and then after that, I'll be back to take over from you. So enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here. Fantastic to join everybody this morning. I've been listening to the wonderful presentations so far. It's a real honor to present to all of you this morning. It's really great. I think, given we're kind of approaching International Women's Day, and I think Ghana is actually known for having the most women-led businesses on the continent. So again, congratulations for that. I hope you can see my screen. I've had problems this morning. I was presenting earlier on, and once I put on my screen, then I have problems with connection. So I hope you can see my screen. But again, as I said, very real pleasure to join you. I'm going to speak today a little bit about the digital economy and the role that women can play in terms of facilitating growth on the continent, but also helping to bring in, the implementation of the free trade area. It's really significant, I think, when you're looking at Africa as a whole, how important the digital economy is. And I think given with what's happened with COVID, we've seen quite a lot of, sort of usage of digital technologies to actually help with the COVID problems that we've seen so far across the continent, but across the world as well. So it's really exciting to be presenting to you here today around how digital can help. certainly, I think when we're looking to just contextualize a little bit before we go ahead and look, deeply into the topic, the world, of course, has really suffered with COVID, and Africa has not been immune to that. And of course, in Ghana as well, I know that there's been a very good response in Ghana in terms of managing COVID and trying to make sure that everybody's is protected there. But there are some issues I think that we need to look at, especially as we look to rebuild and move forward. And certainly the free trade area, I think, is a fantastic anchor to actually look at how we can mitigate against problems that we've had with things like COVID. With CFTA as a whole, it provides a really great opportunity, I think, for the continent of Africa to really reset, if you like, and to rebalance what's going on within the continent. And what do I mean by this? It's very much around looking at things like strengthening the coordination ability of the continent, and the strengthening the coordination and collaboration, of different parties across the country in Ghana, but also across Africa. So I think the pandemic itself has taught us lessons about how important it is to collaborate, how important it is for us to work together in resolving problems, and of course, digital transformation as a whole, has played a major role in terms of spearing economies and almost kind of protecting economies. We have seen many solutions come to the fore, especially in the startup market. Today we're talking about the startup market, and we've seen a lot of new emerging startups that have come up with solutions to actually address a range of things. This has included, kind of tapping on things like data-driven technologies, looking at robotics, looking at drones, looking at usage of things like blockchain and artificial intelligence to respond quite quickly to a lot of the problems we've faced. And this has had a positive impact. As much as COVID has been really difficult and horrid to navigate, I think it has also taught us some lessons in the sense that we can also pivot and transition, and it's very important to be adaptable. I think there's a big lesson around being able to adapt. Now, digital transformation means different things to different people. But I think in the context of what we're talking about, digital transformation does just not mean just technology alone. But I think it also speaks to the volumes of the transition of people, the transition of economies, sustainability, and ensuring that what we're looking at actually results in more sustainable and responsive ways of dealing with the problem. So again, the pandemic is teaching some lessons around that. Very important, I think, to with the pandemic and with the changes with digital, that we need to be able to ensure that everybody has access. And so the issue around digital literacy is actually quite important, and is something that we need to look at as we move ahead. So again, as I say, digital transformation will mean different things to different people. Now, at the Global Policy House, we focused quite heavily over 2020 to actually try and help organizations and governments and a range of others to actually transition into the digital economy, and to look to use tools within the digital economy to address a lot of the problems that we are seeing. And certainly, what are these core areas? I think in the context of Africa, it's a very exciting time with CFTA. CFTA is actually going to pave the way to enable, a lot of the implementation of or the usage of digital disruptors on the continent, if we can kind of look at how we can ensure there's connectivity, there's access to data, there's access to affordable data. It's very important. And connectivity means, it is not just necessarily having just broadband, but yes, we do need to ensure that, rural areas across the country are also connected and are able to interact. Rural areas are also to play around with either access to digital means. So we do need to look at the infrastructure, both soft and hard infrastructure challenges that we do face. Additionally, investment is a big part. Today, we're talking in the context of women and gender. Africa is fueled by women-led businesses. Ghana is fueled by women-led businesses, and it's something very commendable. But at the end of the day, a lot of these women and small businesses, really do require investments and financing. That's a very strong area I think we need to look at a little bit more critically and trying to support a bit more. I know that there's quite a lot of work going on around trying to support more women by, through access to finance by groups like the African Development Bank and others. But I think there's more innovative ways, for example, that we can look at to mobilize finance, to ensure that those women are actually getting the financing that they need, to ensure the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, the informal sector is starting to get access to capital and liquidity that is needed to actually build Africa and strengthen Africa's future. And if we can do that through things like decentralized financing, through things like digital financing, through things like mobile financing, this is nothing new to the continent of Africa. In fact, we created mobile money payments, right, with things like M-Pesa in Kenya and a whole range of others. So we need to thrive off that and start to scale that. You know, scaling is very, very important. Being able to scale this solution and ensuring that we can actually get them to the people that need it the most is absolutely significant. And I think that's where kind of technology comes in. So technology, things like blockchain and, you know, using blockchain-based financing, for example, helps with just making it a little bit easier, you know, with a bit more transparency, you know, for people to be able to access investments and a range of other things. Regulation, you know, protection around IP, all this is, you know, really important areas that the CFTA is going to have a very significant role, because when we're creating those policies and regulations, we're starting to strengthen markets. You know, we're starting to create an opportunity or an environment for intellectual property rights, you know, and we start to protect consumers as well. Very, very important, especially in an environment where we're seeing quite a lot of new digital assets come into the market. We need to be able to look at how we protect consumers in a new market. We need to be able to understand actually from Africa's perspective, from Ghana's perspective, you know, what are the kind of data privacy laws that we need to look at? You know, how do we ensure there's a certain level of privacy, you know, that exists and people's data are not being misused and all that. So there's a lot of issues around that. A big one is around cybersecurity. Very important for Africa development and takes advantage of the CFTA. So how can we ensure that we can leverage things like cybersecurity to protect the continent? Those are just a couple of things, but just, you know, I know that time is limited and I wanted to just highlight a couple of things that we can actually do today, you know, and start to move. I like to think in very practical terms, and it's very important that we can move the continent forward. I could feel the passion from the other speakers. I'm very passionate. You know, coming from Zambia myself, you know, and loving the continent and feeling the continent with me all the time. I'm very, very passionate, and I have very, very, you know, strong belief that Africa's time is absolutely now. It is not about the future. The future is now, you know, and we have all the right tools. We've got a young population. We've got, you know, women-led businesses ready to, you know, deliver. We've got, you know, endless natural resources. We've got, you know, sort of assets that we need to actually leverage and utilize to the advantage of Africa. So for me, these are some of the key areas I think we need to focus on, and key areas within the digital economy that we can look at, you know, in order to take Africa forward, you know, and build on what is already happening across the continent. I think in Africa, we have over 650, you know, sort of digital hubs going on, and lots of young people and entrepreneurs engaged in the digital economy. So it's a massive opportunity, but we do need to look at things like data. We need to be able to understand, you know, how can we leverage data? How can we use data to our advantage? How can we protect data? How can we give more control to the owners of the data, right? And so for me, I've come up with this terminology around looking at data capital and ensuring that Africa protects its data capital. Africa builds its data capital, and we start to leverage that data. Sorry, could you hear me? I think that cut off.
Cut off, but you're back now.
Right, great. I will see if I can share my screen. Apology for that. I think I've had problems all morning with the internet. But yes, I mean, again, you know, we need to look at things like education. You need to look at an Africa-wide education program that looks at digital skills capacity building. We need to be able to ensure that, you know, we have all these new tools. We have digital financing and a whole range of others. but we do need to look at reskilling and ensuring that people are geared up to really take advantage of the digital economy that is growing across the continent and across the world. Take advantage of digital financing packages that are in place and learning how to use new forms of finance, including new forms of digital assets that I talked about, so that you can grow your business and startups can start to scale and startups can start to access new markets. Very, very important. And finally, I mean, look at the tools that are there: blockchain, AI, cybersecurity, big data, IoT, these massive opportunities, I think, with new tools that are coming into the market, and really trying to understand how we can utilize these tools is very, very important. Now, in the context of CFTA, again, we can use things like blockchain. I think blockchain is what we call the trust machine. So where we can start to look at how bringing players together, looking at transparency, looking at building trust within trading systems, very important. Looking at customs and improving customs processes, again, very, very key. And to just wrap up, I've done a little kind of map up on what I think is really, really core moving forward in order to get to that transformation I talked about. The transformation isn't just about digital or the technology. The technology bit is probably the easy bit. It's about learning to understand how can we work together as an African continent, looking at cultures, looking at understanding one another, looking at connectivity in the broader sense, right? Looking at the opportunities to collaborate with other countries and really come with policies and frameworks that actually work. And then looking at sort of regional value chains and strengthening those regional value chains will lead to that transformation and will lead to take advantages of what is being presented with CFTA, which is very much around the agenda of, intra-African trade and, really fueling trade across different African nations, opening doors for easy access for people, for goods, for services, absolutely fundamental. And we need to be able to be complementary in our offerings and look at sort of harmonized rules and regulations to facilitate digital trade, for example. That will strengthen regional value chains. That will help drive economic growth. This is very important given what's happening, obviously, with COVID. And now we're starting to look at rebuilding, but we want to rebuild in a more sustainable way. We want to rebuild in a way that Africa is self-sustaining, in a way that Africa takes advantages of what it has and owns, to its advantage. We want to produce more, right? And not consume what it is that we are producing, and kind of send raw materials and we're consuming what is being produced elsewhere. We need to strengthen those regional value chains in order to do that. And we need to create that hub that I talk about where, one Africa, working together, collaborating and ensuring that we're all benefiting. It's not a case of one country, benefiting. This is about the whole continent benefiting and actually working together to ensure that growth. And finally, digital transformation as a whole does lead to inclusion and women empowerment. We talk about how important women are, in our communities. And there's all the reports have been done who have showcased that, the role of women that women play in terms of contribution to GDP is absolutely huge. And we need to close the gaps that exist in terms of supporting women, be it access to finance, be it access to markets. Very, very important that we look to that. And digital transformation is one area that certainly is helping to support and champion that. And finally, I think a couple of slides from our end, we really focused a lot on one of our core target markets is obviously women and youth. And we're trying to build capacity and help scale up women and youth. And of course, using digital economy and the tools within that. And work with a range of other things. But we also look at investments where we try and drive investments to projects, interesting projects, yes, in the tech field, but also in startups, and looking to invest into startups and supporting other startups across the world, because this SME and startup market is actually what fuels the economy, is actually what drives growth. And so for us, we want to see more and more initiatives, and we want to be part of the solution in trying to help more startups actually access finance and capital as well as skills. And finally, yes, and again, those who are interested in understanding a bit more on digital assets and what's happening within things like cryptocurrency markets and central bank digital currencies and things like that, we have a range of events coming up, and you're very welcome to join. These slides I'm sure will be shared with you, so please reach out if you're interested in this. We have a number of events all across the year where we're covering this to help people build capacity. And finally, thank you so much. Here are my contact details. If you do need to reach me, it's been a real pleasure to address you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for that great presentation. Wow, so many of us are not very clued into all this stuff about Bitcoins and stuff. So thank you so much for this great presentation. And we also look forward to you joining the panel session that is about to start now. So if you have any questions for Michelle, please put it in the Q&A box, and then it will be addressed by the moderator once the Q&A session begins in the panel. So let me invite the rest of the panelists to the podium right now, starting with Farida Bedwei. Farida Nana Efwa Bedwei is the founder and CEO of Byte the Bits, an IT consultancy and software development company focused on developing systems which generate data-driven stories. Although relatively new, the company is already involved in projects which tell data stories about the marginalized and those whose livelihoods have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic in West Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Farida to the podium as well. Hello, Farida. You're on mute.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello, Madame. Welcome, 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 welcome to the panel discussion.
Thank you.
Awesome. So let me introduce the next person that is joining the panel group. And that is, we've got a lot of women, which is awesome. So we have Mireille Toulekima. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Beautiful name though. Mireille is the managing director of MT Energy Resources. She's an internationally renowned oil and gas professional, senior petroleum engineer, global energy and STEM consultant, women empowerment advocate who gained experience working across 4 continents in Australia, Africa, Asia, and Europe on projects of different scale for Shell exploitation and production, Santos Limited, Woodside Energy Limited, and MT Energy Resources in a range of technical and leadership roles for more than 20 years. Welcome, Mireille, to the panel discussion.
Good day, everybody. It's really a pleasure. For me, it's evening time, so I don't know in which time zone everybody is. Suppose it's morning and afternoon, is it?
Exactly. So we've got like varied time zones here. We've got people in the morning zone, we've got people in the afternoon zone, we've got people in the evening zone. So all of them extends to everybody. Thank you for joining us and being part of the Startup Summit Ghana edition, day 2.
It's a pleasure. Thanks.
Okay, joining these beautiful ladies and all the other gentlemen that have spoken today is Dedo Kofi. Dedo Kofi is a multi-passionate entrepreneur who has created and launched several successful businesses in Ghana. Our entrepreneur experience spans 16 years, and through which she has gained extensive experience navigating the world of business in Ghana and other countries, including South Africa, China, the UK, Singapore, and the USA. Dedo started off in the UK working in customer service, insurance, and mortgage roles, and then as an independent sales executive for Mary Kay Ash. She moved to Ghana in 2016. Dedo has birthed True Life, a concept to inspire, transform, and empower people. Orange Hearts is a charity that supports needy pupils' education right up to the tertiary level. Please welcome Dedo Kofi, founder and managing partner of the CQ Legal Consulting Company. Hello, Dedo. Oh, I can see her now on my screen. You're mute, madam.
Mute, okay. Yeah. Hi, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening from, to everyone. But I think there's a slight error. My role under my name is not what you have there.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur with different businesses. So yeah, where I'm an entrepreneur through and through. So that's all right.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And when you're having the discussion, please do say what your current position is so that people know what exactly you do, so that people don't go with the wrong interpretation of what you do. Thank you so much. So the next person joining the panel discussion is Cynthia Quarcoo. If I pronounce her surname wrongly, I apologize. I'm so sorry. So she is the founder and managing partner of CQ. Oh, okay. I think that's the person, is the founding managing partner of CQ Legal and Consulting. Cynthia has a strong understanding of the African legal and business landscape, including the unique cultural and political challenges across different countries. She's an expert in advising firms setting up in emerging markets, has a deep knowledge of international trade and customs law, and her experience ranges from establishing businesses and consultancies to working with multinational firms, conducting cross-border mergers, acquisitions, financing, and refinancing. And she also specializes in insolvency and corporate restructuring, having advised PwC on the liquidation of Ghana Airways in 2005. So please join me in welcoming Cynthia to the panel.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Good morning. I can see some familiar faces and also people that I admire from a distance who I haven't seen face to face. That's quite Farida. Let me reach out to Farida first. Dedo, I think I've heard so much, but I'm privileged to be here to have this discussion with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for honoring an invitation to be part of the Startup Summit Ghana edition, day 2. So can you please bring back all the key speakers that we've had earlier today? So Derrick, Prince, Michelle, and Mr. Mark. And to moderate the session would be the facilitator and anchor of this summit, Mr. Taiwo Adepoju, and one of our moderators. And she actually is the chairperson of the local organizing committee for the Startup Summit, Renee. So please welcome them as they take over this panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Madam Mireille. And welcome, welcome, welcome to all our panelists. Lovely to meet you, Farida and Mireille and Prince. That was an awesome message. And Mark, thank you all for accepting to be a part of this panel, and it's going to be an amazing one. Taiwo.
Thank you all for rising up to this call. And indeed, Africa would appreciate you even deeply. So Renee, and just so that we're all in check, I know we're behind schedule, so I'll just want, based on the topic for this panel, I would want everyone to, say a line or even a minute as to their own perspective with regards to the topic for this panel discussion. So Renee, you help coordinate that. And can we start with Cynthia? No particular order, but let's just start with Cynthia and.
To say me, starting with me, Renee. Hello. Well, in my view, I started by saying that I practiced for many years in Europe, and the law is my second career. I've always been an economist before I became a lawyer, and I became a lawyer just about the time that the European Union was, integrating and saw what the benefits were to the European Union. And so in my view, this is definitely going to open up a lot for African trade. I've never ceased to understand why it will cost me a lot more money to trade between Ghana and Kenya, or even fly between Ghana and Kenya, than it cost me to go to United Kingdom. In my view, the cornerstone of this is a promotion of industrialization, sustained growth and development in Africa, which is way overdue. We all know that the underlying objective is obviously to boost African trade, it stimulates investment, innovation, and all of that. There is documented evidence that there is definitely some foreseeable growth and diversification benefits for the African economy. And according to figures, the amount of money that we stand to gain from this integration, it's amazing. And it can be nothing more than a good thing for us to take opportunity to make sure that we become a united African front. Definitely, there's going to be an enabling environment for companies to expand their markets, for goods and services. I personally, as a lawyer, never understood why most of the big infrastructure projects that we advise on are done by leading international firms. And I don't understand why law firms can't integrate together and collaborate to advise on infrastructure projects concerning our continent, Africa. So I am looking forward to that. Of course, the agreement brings a lot of benefits, and I would like to summarize that in terms of reduction of tariffs and benefits to entrepreneurs. It's great. The key thing is we have to take advantage of that. And so this conversation is going to be a catalyst. And all of us as leaders within the community need to move away from just a conversation to ensuring that the woman on the street who is manufacturing an item knows that this is open to them. We can't keep the conversation at a theoretical level. And we do need to make sure that we all pay our parts to make sure that there's true integration and that this works for the benefit of Africa. I would like to see, a real transport system that connects us all. I would like to see that Africa is trading amongst itself. So it's in my view a long overview and an amazing period for us to take advantage of what is happening and really integrate for the benefit of the continent. So that's what I'll say for now.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. If anybody has questions, please put it in the Q&A. And when it's time for questions, we can go through your questions, okay? You've got an amazing group of people speaking here. Please take advantage of it. I think we'll go next to Mireille. Mireille, what do you think on the topic?
So for me, I mean, I will agree with, Cynthia. It's a great opportunity for Africa and African to take back that continent, because as we can see, a lot of the trade happening is not actually generating a lot of value for the continent. So it's about time with this agreement to start to look at how, we keep the value at home. And I'm going to just take the example of the energy sector where, we have the resources. And despite that, we don't really see any impact on the ground. I mean, we are a net exporter. And then, the foreign country actually sell us back, product that they actually manufacture using what we have. So it's about time for us to just, start to collaborate between ourselves and really create our own, our own happening, around. And because when you go around, you see in different continents, I mean, in Asia where I've lived, they have their own economy and they really have, a value chain that create the value for the continent. And you go to Europe, that's the same. But in Africa, we don't see it. So it's really about time for us to organize ourselves. And this agreement is coming really at the right time. And with COVID, we've seen the limitation that we have as a continent. So it's about time to act and really take advantage of what we have, create the value, and create a proper economy for Africa.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. When we get to the Q&A, I think we need to answer the whys and hows, what to do now, because sometimes the issue is there. We talk about the issue, but we don't talk about how to sort of solve that issue and to move forward. I would like to invite Mark, please, to come on and give your view on the topic, please.
So Mark, really, just before you go on and tell us your own thought around this. So I just got a message and then someone says, look, Taiwo, you guys are on a path, but we don't seem to know what AfCFTA is all about. So I thought it is important I just give you background and then we'll move on. So on the 1st of January, 2021, Africa, commissioned themselves. So the whole of the heads of states agreed to an agreement to say, look, we should be able to trade between ourselves. And so this historic milestone, for the continent indeed is the starting point, all right, for something that would ultimately provide more wealth for Africa, and will ensure that our industry, in terms of everything we're producing, can be fully also be consumed. So Africa has over 1.4 billion persons, and so it therefore means that by the time we start producing and consuming, we would have created wealth, considering the fact that most of the things that comes in is purely imported. Another dimension to this is the fact that something happened. There was a reduction in the levels of import. However, Africans, and okay, so I'm in Nigeria, we still survive. So it therefore means that there's this delusion that we cannot survive outside of, or we cannot survive on our own, that we need, imports into the continent. And it's clear now, and it's even clearer, much more clear, that this is no longer, the norm. So Africa now needs to start to trade with themselves, and that's why we set up this panel. Now, the first protocol of this panel, of the agreement, the free trade agreement, has been signed. It's been, adapted across countries between their customs and all the other agencies. But as we progress, something is happening. It means that by the end of June, they would have moved on to the second protocol, which would deal with financial services. We'll be talking about a unified airspace for Africa, then the African passport, and maybe the African currency. So that forms the background of our discussion for this session. So what we have done is we brought in subject matter experts to help, pinpoint their own thoughts as to, is it workable? Will it survive the test of time? Is it just another project or another agreement or an elephant, project, as the case may be? But I believe strongly that trade and development in Africa can only happen when we as Africans take this bull, or the cow by the horn, and we start trading with each other. So, Mark, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tayo, and thank you, Renee. What I can say is that this discussion actually is very timely. And one thing I want to say from the perspective of an investment banker and a financial instrument trader is that we don't have confidence in our own banking system within the African continent. And one thing that is very important to make trades work successfully is the banking sector. So, for instance, if I have something in Ghana and I want to export to Taiwo in Nigeria, I will expect that Taiwo will issue an LC, like I explained in my earlier presentation to everybody, to me. But then the LC will come to me here in Ghana from a bank in Nigeria. But my bank in Ghana will reject the LC because my bank in Ghana wants to see an LC coming from Citibank, HSBC, London. All these banks. Why? Because we say that our banks are non-rated banks. So when our banks are guaranteeing trade, we don't want to take their guarantees seriously. And one thing that I've always experienced that usually breaks my heart is what we call RMA. Banks operate and communicate on a SWIFT platform. So when one bank does not have a relationship or what we call bilateral keys with another bank, they can't talk to them. They can't even send any guarantees. You'll be surprised that typically you find a bank in Africa wanting to have a relationship with another bank in Africa. So they will send what we call a pre-advice and send an RMA request to be able to exchange keys among themselves so they can do business. The bank in Africa will reject the RMA coming from another bank within the same African continent. Why? They don't want to have a relationship with them. So if we do not have a relationship with ourselves, I'm talking about the banks, how will we be able to trade successfully? So these are some of the things that I want us from these discussions that we are going to be having. I want us to be talking about so that our banks will also sit up and have relationships among themselves and have confidence also in our own banking system. So that I don't trade with you in Nigeria from Ghana here and expect that the bank in Europe should be the one to be in the middle refereeing the trade. So I think this is a very timely conversation we are going to have, and more of these sessions must be organized by you, Tayo, and your team for us to have the opportunity to speak more about some of these.
That's so true. I really understand, Mark. I've had to deal with, a few Nigerian businesses, and just sending money from here to there, just next door, was such a huge issue. So I think you're very right on that. Dedo, you are a businesswoman. I know you very well established. What do you think about this, and what issues have you had as well? Is Dedo there? Hi, Dedo.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you so much. And so as an entrepreneur, I'm going to speak purely from my perspective, and my entrepreneurship journey is such that I started off really as someone who hadn't worked in even the corporate world for that much after finishing school. So I'm really an entrepreneur through and through. And I think that over the period, there's so many lessons that I've learned, which is why I now teach other people who are starting their business. And this presents an opportunity for us to be, one, intentional, and to also be prepared as an entrepreneur. So if you're an entrepreneur, like what Cynthia said, that we need to bring this down to the person on the street, because with all these, I don't want to try and figure out what the jargons of AfCFTA and all of that means. I want to know what just it will mean for my business, how I can take advantage of the opportunities that it presents, and what is really there for us to take advantage of. So as an entrepreneur, I think we need to position ourselves to be able to take advantage of what this presents. And that means being prepared. So knowing this now, what are the opportunities that I can take advantage of? What are the markets that I can move into? The products or services that I offer now, can I move it into the whole of Africa? So we need to really be prepared and also be intentional about how we want to do this. I talk about being intentional because I know that as an entrepreneur, when you start off, you're just trying to do things as it comes to you, and we never stop to be really intentional about the actions we're taking and what the results will be. So whatever stage you are in as an entrepreneur, as you go along, you need to always stop and try and make sure that you're being intentional about every step that we take. And we know, like they say that think local and act global. I think you can think local, act global, and you can also think global and act global, because the world is such an open market. I am in Ghana, but I can decide to buy something from somewhere else in the world and trade it to the world. So there's so many opportunities that it presents, and I want to look into it and see how I can take advantage of what it presents and where my strengths are, make sure that I can push that further. So for my fellow entrepreneurs, I just want to say that let's make sure that we will prepare ourselves. And product quality is something that's so important. Quality is not just about price. And if the market is this open, we need to make sure it's just making the thing look clean and nice and workable. Sometimes we package, I was listening to a discussion and they were talking about how like our local drinks and sobolo, I don't know what it's called in Nigeria, but it's a local drink. And there's so many people who are producing that, and you can look at the various packaging, and some of them you can put on the shelves in Selfridges or Harrods, and some of them just don't cut it. And so that's what we need to start thinking about as entrepreneurs, making sure that we're packaging our products right to meet international or global standards, and not necessarily about price. So I'll leave it at that for now, and then we'll share more as we go along.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Before I invite Taiwo back in, let me just read a message, a comment from somebody, Iffy. She says, it's important we take advantage, yes. However, there's still a gap in manufacturing and production. Have we invested enough over the years in infrastructure so as to now run with AfCFTA AfCFTA? Yeah. For example, the raw material for my production is paper. In Africa, we are yet to fully catalyze paper production. Most of our paper mills are moribund. Thus, we still have to import paper from other continents.
Wow, that's terribly pathetic, you know. And I have a family that runs a toilet paper company, all right, and they have to import some of the raw materials from China, I think. So it's pretty sad. Okay, and I love the discussion around competitiveness on the side of Dedo. You know, so Farida is someone very special and dear to me. You know, and you know, Africa is Africa's biggest problem. Okay, so Farida, you know, plays an active role as an advocate for the vulnerable and, you know, the disabled. But beyond that, Farida it's when I say she's a canon of intelligence, you know, in terms of data, in terms of, so Farida, you know, from so you are representing two constituencies right here now. The vulnerable, and even the IT. Can you please put in your thoughts as to this, our pathway to prosperity, and how it concerns your constituencies?
Thank you so much. Lovely to meet all of you on the panel. First of all, I just hope that this is not something that is a 9-day wonder, because we have had various experiences with great theories and great, ideas in Africa. And I always say that, look, it's about time we stop talking and we started doing. I'd have been more excited to see it actually happening on the ground before the paperwork came out, because then the politicians, the government would have had no choice but to have followed us along the lines that we are going. So we have to drive it. We have to be the ones who are pushing it. Otherwise, at the end of the day, it will fizzle out like most of the great other policies have fizzled out over the past 60 plus years that we have been independent on this continent. With regard to the AfCFTA, it's a great thing, but as Cynthia said, and as Pedro said, how does it affect me? How does it affect the other woman carrying goods on her head to sell on the street? Those are the questions that we have to ask and answer, because it shouldn't be something that is just top heavy. By top heavy, I mean it shouldn't be something for the elitists, which as most of these policies are in the long run. Most of these policies just benefit the elitists and leave those at the bottom of the train out of it. So it's about time we learned. We started implementing these things from the ground up. Make it a movement. Make it something that even if the government say they don't want to continue with it, they have no choice because we are the ones driving it, and that is very important. So with regards to how it will help me as a business person, hopefully it will make it easier for me to develop services in Nigeria and not have to worry about how I'm going to get paid. It will make it easier for me to fly to Botswana without worrying about taking 2 or 3 interconnecting flights, which are very difficult for me to manage as a person with a disability. I mean, it's so difficult to move around Africa. Apart from the air travel issues that we have, let's not even talk about the road transport situation. It should be very easy for me to drive to Nigeria. I mean, it's what, 6 hours by road. But because of the borders, the wahala at the borders, it doesn't make it I mean, very interesting or very nice to do. I once did a 6-hour trip from Accra to Lagos. A trip that should have taken 6 hours took almost 12 hours. Why? Because of the borders. And I think I'm never going to do that again, because and those things shouldn't be something that we are continuing with. If we really want this to work, we have to inform the government officials, we have to inform all the people who stand in the way of making this thing not work, and as well as give them punish them if they don't do the right thing. Because what you realize in this part of the world is that a lot of acts go unpunished. So people know that, oh, I can do what I want and I'll get away with it. But if you start punishing the border control people, the immigration officers who don't allow the free trade, or the custom people who demand bribe at the very borders and things like that, then we've gotten somewhere. And let's stop paying lip service to some of these things, because that is all we do in this part of the world. Pay lip service to some of these things without constituting and putting in measures to ensure that these things are done properly. Thank you.
Wow. Farida, we just set up. So I'm reading what Carl says that Farida is eating it the way it should be. And this is exactly what we're doing. Mainstreaming the informal, support startups, and leveraging local content to amplify the AfCFTA, localizing it for the benefit of the ordinary people. You really hit it, you hit the nail on the head, and I'm glad that we have you on this panel, and I'm sure somehow people are also beginning to say, hey, something needs to be done. So it won't just be that an agreement has been signed, it won't be elitist, it will be that we make it practical. Can we make it practical? So before Renee brings in Michelle, it's amazing how currently right now, we have the head of the World Trade Organization, Madam Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. So we also believe that it's not a coincidence, all right? And so for some of us that have been as champions for AfCFTA, we have constantly, lent our support to this reality that we have today. So we believe, because the documents and the processes of the formation of or the agreements, as it were, are also distilled from the World Trade Organization document. So we feel, and I'm confident in the person of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, that she would also help in fast-tracking, the actualization of this trade agreement for the interest of Africa, so Renee, so please take it up from there.
I'm just reading the comments here, and I'm just so excited because everybody is sort of agreeing. Everybody is coming together. Adejoke says, yes, it must not be elitist. The impact of the policy must be felt at the grassroots. That's the only way. I love it when Farida said we should make it a movement. So if they've written it and signed it and they don't go ahead with it, we should go ahead with it, because we are the ones being impacted heavily by it. And that's just a great thing. The comments on there are just so exciting. I'd like to introduce His Royal Highness the Prince to also share his view.
Thank you, Madam. Is that for me?
Yes, it is.
Yes, no, thank you so much. I like what has been shared, I think, by our esteemed guests and colleagues, very knowledgeable in their field of expertise. And I think we're taking a lot away from this. And I think already this platform, is a demonstration of our coming together. And I think it's a very big step in the right direction. And maybe, as has been encouraged by Farida and the other participants, it is very important then that we follow through, on this summit, with implementable action plans, maybe with definite timelines as well, so that we can give some feedback, to the constituencies and the many Africans that we are representing here. And maybe, let it be a continuous engagement, amongst ourselves, to draw from each other's insight. The body that I represent, which is the Institute of Business Advisors South Africa, I think many of you and some professionals who have touched base in South Africa are aware of us and the fact that we actually represent professionals, multinationals that come into the small and medium enterprise ecosystem in South Africa to work within the ecosystem. We help them with the visas to be able to practice their professions and their expertise to be put in deployment in South Africa. So a large part of our membership is actually not even South Africans, it's professionals across the globe. Not only Africa, but the other parts of the world as well. So already we have a network, colleagues that we can tap into if we know what we want as Africans, and we agree on one thing, one step at a time, because that's how you eat an elephant, isn't it? One bite at a time. It's not going to happen all at once. Let's agree, on one step, the next step, and the next step. And before we know it, we would have overcome so many of the barriers, that are preventing us currently, from doing business effectively with each other. Thank you, madam.
So Prince, I love when you talked about the barriers, because currently what we have, so there are the non-trade barriers, and that's what AfCFTA is all about addressing. So non-trade barriers, right? Non-tariff barriers, but not essentially the non-trade barriers or non-tariff barriers. I hope you got what I tried to explain that way. So one of the things that Michelle has struck on is regards the digital currency. And currently in my country, in Nigeria today, there has been a ban. There has been a ban of some sort. So it's something that, myself and Renee were talking about. I said, look, Renee, I need to ask this question. See, when are we going to have a central bank of Africa so that we can begin to have digital currency? When will this happen? Please throw on some light on this.
Sure. Thank you for that. It's music to my ears, as you can imagine. When you mentioned digital currency, I think, yes, we obviously have heard about the ban in Nigeria. I mean, I can understand, of course, from a regulator perspective that this industry is something that I think everybody is starting to actually still discovering. But I think having been in the industry for quite some time myself, I really see massive opportunities. And massive opportunity for Africa as a whole. Just to touch a little bit on what Farida was saying, because it is so important. Africa is built on grassroots, right? No matter what you think, Africa is driven by the grassroots. Africa is driven by the informal sector. So if you're not going to focus on strengthening that sector, then you're really not talking about Africa. And for me, sitting here as an African woman, it gives me absolute pride and joy to talk about the importance of the African woman and what the African woman is contributing to the economy. Now, a lot of that is not actually being captured. Even in terms of the GDP that's coming through from the informal sector is today not very well captured. And we can do that through things like digital tools and even through things like digital currency. I think, Africa has struggled, I think, over time, over reliance on other currencies, right? We've kind of had heavy reliance, be it on things like the dollar. We're trading with each other and we're worrying about foreign, Forex, we're worrying about currency exchange, we're worrying about, accessing a dollar. I think this is something that we need to look at very, very strongly. the currency discussion is a very, very important one. And that's why I think for us, we've really focused on starting to have that conversation to say, actually, where does Africa sit in the conversation around digital currency and creating its own currency and really benefiting from its own currency. And back to the point around the informal sector and the young people and all that, how can we allow or provide that environment where the young entrepreneurs, the startups, the women-led businesses, that informal sector can actually thrive. And in order to do that, they need access to capital. They need access to strong capital markets. And within those strong capital markets, you need to have that discussion around currency. I know it's something quite sensitive to quite a lot of people. I know it's quite sensitive when it comes to regulators and governments. But at the end of the day, we really have to look back and say, over the years that we've had, how have we benefited from currency that exists today? Is that helping us to grow? Is that not helping us to grow? Can we alternatives now? Currency, we're saying we're trying to include a lot more people into the financial system, into the economic system. That is part of the drive of the CFTA. Is actually we're trying to strengthen Africa by Africa, for Africa, right? We need to take leadership. We need to take ownership of our assets. And our assets includes not just the natural resources, our gold, our diamonds, our commodities, but also strengthening our people and our currency. So are we ready to take on, that challenge? For me, is the question. And for me, certainly, I think, the future is very much going to be on digital assets. A lot of the countries around the world, be it China, who is already implementing their digital yuan today as we speak, are we going to start, to wait and play catch up, and maybe even to start to kind of feed off the digital one? I don't think we want that. I don't think that's the mantra for the CFTA. So we need to have that, frank and honest conversation about actually how do we want to move forward, and can we leverage the opportunities that digitization has brought onto the table?
So that is an open question, open question. And just before Cynthia comes on, I'd like to have Adejoke putting her on the spot, because we want to make this as highly interactive as possible. So Adejoke, I see your fingers are burning. You're just typing out. Would you like to say something? So I've given you permission to just lend your voice to this, panel. Adejoke.
Good afternoon, good morning to everyone who is here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Okay, I'm very excited we're having this conversation. And if the convener, Mr. Taiwo, would remember, I have asked these questions, I keep asking and I keep researching. I'm a lawyer and I'm biased to women in business. I support women in business. I ensure that they don't lose money because we don't even have enough representation. And I keep asking this question as a lawyer who works with startups and growing businesses in Nigeria and looking out to work with other founders across Africa, that what does this mean for my auntie who is not very educated but turns over more than 10 million in about 6 months in Nigeria here? How can we bring them into the financial system? And when we talk about financial system in Africa, Nigeria being the case in point here, what we are saying is getting people to have bank accounts, register them and document them. We are not discussing the ease of trade, moving money from point A to point B, the convenience in doing business, and what is the protection for these women. And that is one part. Then the other part that I see that we're touching on is access to finance and funding for female founders. I want to believe that is not entirely an African problem because it's a general women problem all over the world. But I feel like in Africa, women hold half the sky. A lot of women entrepreneurs are domiciled in Africa. What can we do as women here? And I like that this is the all-women panel to change that conversation. How can we put our mouth put our money where our mouth is? And these are questions I hope that we can have answers to in cutting checks for women. Don't just tell women to be mentored. There's too much mentoring, too much empowerment programs for women. Not enough people are cutting checks. Cut me. I'm a lawyer. I want you to raise money for
He gave you the floor to talk, but you have turned this into, and you know, it's amazing that this month is the Women's Month, the International Women's Day. And I know that Joke has an event, Barrister Joke has so just talk briefly on, so if you can take this discussion on, but just tell us about the event in 1 minute and then
I apologize for butting in here and turning it into a women's campaign, but this was really exciting. If you read my comment, I said, oh, what a lineup of women panelists. And when I started hearing Farida talk about what AfCFTA means for women in the grassroots, I jumped up. I said, yes, yes, yes. This is it. This is it. So we have a program coming on the 8th of March for International Women's Day at Phenomenal African Women. And unlike every other program that I've seen or I've been to, this is a no-fluff approach. We'll be discussing the hard parts, the elephants in the room. We know how we women are perceived. And what do we begin to do to change the perception? And especially this part of funding. I say that there's too much mentoring, too much cuddling. And women can actually do a lot. We lift a lot of weight. I was raised by a single parent. All my aunties are women in business and they are heavy lifters. So what can we do to protect them? What can we do to ensure that women now begin to gather wealth and hold wealth and transfer wealth to female children? What can we do at policy level? What can we do at grassroots level? Because I'm more passionate about grassroots level. Enough of talk about women being proper girls or proper women. I don't want to be addressed as a nice girl. I want to be a badass person in the boardroom. So this is what I believe we'll be talking about. Our team this year is taking charge.
Thank you so much.
So we would love to have you all join us. Thank you so much for the floor. And I'm still listening to this conversation, and I hope that we arrive at solutions that will be documented and passed on to the people in position of authority. I personally, I sit on a committee, a technical working group for Agenda 2050 in Nigeria, and this is one of the things I'm pushing about, especially as it has to do with anti-corruption. We can't move these policies unless the people who implement it get the idea and see what is in it for them. Like Farida said, people in customs, people at the border, these are the people on the floor, the foot soldiers who will move the policy. How do we reorientate them to see that taking bribe is shortchanging yourself? How do we begin to let them see that you are destroying trade and therefore destroying our entire GDP by shortchanging trade and not letting people's goods and services move easily across Africa? I think one madam mentioned earlier that it is more easier to get goods from London to Nigeria than to get from Ghana to Nigeria. It is appalling. We can't say we are Pan-African, you can't do trade seamlessly. Until we do trade seamlessly, no other region in the world will take us serious. There's a general perception about Africa now. We have to begin to look inwards and change that perception. So I thank you very much for the platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have to apologize.
So, you know, I love the energy from even without seeing her, you know, it's palpable. You could feel it.
But you know what?
So, Mireille, you want to take on?
Yeah. Her eyes are so much on fire that she didn't even see the men. She said it's an all women. I said, hey, men, forgive us. Oh, forgive us. Please forgive us. There are men on the panel, but I think we should allow Carl to also let his voice.
I apologize. I only saw the women. I'm using one of my devices because I'm working on the other one. I apologize. Please. It's okay. Apologies to the men. I see you all. I see you all. Thank you. Especially the prince that spoke earlier. Yes, I remember now. I see you.
Yes, there's a senator on as well. Yes, thank you so much, Adejoke. I think we should also lend a mic to Carl. Carl has also been typing, and he has said dropped a lot of great nuggets. So let's give the mic to Carl for a minute. Carl Oshodi.
Yeah, can you hear me?
1 minute, yes, thank you. Hello, Carl, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I said I want to thank you all for conveying this gathering. In fact, I didn't even know that something was going on until a friend of mine, buzzed me up and said there is something going on inter-Africa trade. I said, wow, send me a link, and here I am. You see, when the AfCFTA started, there is an original document which supports the statements. In fact, every statement from A to Z of what Farida said. Now, the AfCFTA is not supposed to be designed for elites. is supposed to be designed for the informal sector to grow and scale up so we can begin to accelerate the way the Asian tigers are accelerating. Now, if you look at the Asian tiger economy, what they are doing is that they are taking deliberate steps to invest in the growth of SMEs. And you and I know that SME, particularly the informal sector, which comprise of youth and women, are actually the drivers of the economy, and they boost the GDP. Without them, the Asian tigers would not be what they are today. Today we have countries like Japan, countries like Taiwan, which are not even up to the size of Ghana, are getting a GDP that when you combine them, they are up to that of Africa. This is appalling. So what we need to do is to strategically begin to invest in the informal sector, is to begin to invest deliberately on women, deliberately on youth, see how you can scale them up and provide the necessary infrastructure. Infrastructure in the sense that we have to look at digital infrastructure, we have to look at big data, because right now digital transformation is actually driving the market. So what we will now do is to see how we can put them together, look at local strategy, how we can use to leverage the woman in the community in faraway Nigeria villages and that of the urban center, because the big businesses that are actually trickling into the urban centers are happening in the local community. So we must begin to zip in, link and leverage of, I would say, linkage between our local community and urban communities. And then we cannot begin to look at cross-border trade, intra-Africa trade, and concentrate on that and leverage on that of how we can support each other, challenge each other, and also give solution to one another, because you cannot keep what you have alone. In fact, if not that Farida has come into this platform, many of us would not even say anything. Why? Because she has touched on the nugget. She has touched on the very core of the foundation of AfCFTA. In fact, she has also touched on the problems and challenges that we may face on the AfCFTA. In fact, I don't see Farida as a woman. I don't see her as a man. I see her as a Pan-African that have the solution to drive the AfCFTA and support the African liberation that we're all talking about. Otherwise, Agenda 2063 will be of no consequence to us, because when we say the African we want, we don't need the African we want now. We need the African we need now, because African we need is a priority, and AfCFTA come top agenda of that priority. I think that is my contribution. Thank you very much.
So much, Carl. Thank you so much, Carl. I just love this passion, that everybody's speaking with, because almost like it's like we've had enough. Basically, there's so much we can do. We haven't done it yet, but this should continue. It shouldn't end when this session ends. We have to push it on. This should continue. Cynthia, now you are a lawyer on here. Okay, what would you say the legal mechanism for business embarking on intra-trade is or should be? I think you're on mute.
I have to unmute myself. Yeah, I'm not even sure that I want to really speak as a lawyer.
Okay.
To be honest with you, because like I said in the beginning, and of course, Farida backed me up. This is, for me, it's about giving Africa a voice and allowing Africa to appeal as a global trading partner, right? The gains are supposed to be in excess of probably 65 billion if we get it right. But we can't do it without the grassroots. The legal structures have been created, but like many things in Africa, it's about the implementation of the structures that have been created. Clearly, we all have a role. We do know that there's going to be benefits in terms of tariffs for small and medium companies. There's going to be employment opportunities, but it's really about moving away from the structures to trying to enable the structure to take effect. And the enabling of the structure is the key to the success of what's happening. In my view, for instance, in my firm, we do support a lot of SMEs. And so moving forward, it is our role as advisors to empower these SMEs who come to us, even if it means providing them with pro bono legal advice, to be able to touch on and inspire them to grow from the bottom up. Because the legal structures, we spend enough time putting it together, but what do legal structures mean to the person on the street And that for me, I think is my focus. The conversation, we don't want to go into the conversation about, the structures have been created on paper. Just so, if you take copyright laws in this country, the structures have been created, the laws are there, but when it comes to implementation, there's no implementation. We don't want this to become another exercise of creating the framework and not seeing the benefits of it. So I think that there has to be a concerted effort from leaders to make sure that the implementation is done. And if it means that the stakeholders, with a few of us here, stakeholders have to continue to push that agenda in our own little corner. The way I look at it, it's a microman. We all have to play our role. It's one thing talking about the problems, but then the question that I want to ask myself is, what role do I play as a lawyer, as an entrepreneur, to make sure this agenda is realized? And it could be just me setting up a little and speaking to women who are, in business, providing my advice for free and saying, look, you're in this business. Do you know you can do this? And help them to be able to navigate the legal structures. And I think the more we do, one thing about Africans is that we're very good at copying. Africans would jump on the bandwagon so long as somebody else is doing it. So I think, in my view, if we all start in our little corners, pushing that agenda, in our view, it would have a ripple effect and people will start to realize it, and that's the way we spread it. We are not going to wait for government. We should not wait for our governments, right? If we are waiting for our governments to put policies in place, we're going to wait for a very long time. So what are we doing? Let's move that conversation to, okay, we know there are problems that exist, but what we're saying is here is that there is so much we can take from this, and our women especially, right? Who are the bread and winners of the family in terms of the core of the foundation of the next generation, need to make access. We are not going to allow this to bypass us. And in our own little corner, start that process. It's not just about lip service. It's about, what am I doing as a lawyer? If a young woman comes to me and says, I have this business and I want to expand, it's my obligation to make sure that I mentor her, but also provide a service to her by ensuring that I break down to her what she can do to, and I shouldn't be thinking about how much am I going to charge her for the service. We all have to collectively take, and our men on the panel, we all have to collectively do this in our own way. And then I think once we do that and the pressure on government, people start to see that we're pushing, government will be forced to do it. I've never been a person who sat down and waited for government to do anything. Government wouldn't do anything. They have their own agenda, and we have to all work together to make it happen. So that's my view, at this present time.
Somebody on here says spot on. Before I could even speak, spot on. That is so true. I love that so much. I think, let me move to Mireille. Mireille, what do you think about this? In 2 minutes, how do you think you can raise this?
I think one of the aspects that's important is the mindset that we go into it. And I'll tell you something. I used to work for Sasol, a company in South Africa, and I think they're one of the biggest company in the energy sector. And what struck me when I was working for them, they were not investing in Africa. They would invest in Canada, they would invest everywhere, not in Africa. And that's really what we want to change, is that if you are an African company, you have to make sure that, you keep the value on the ground and then grow the rest of, the rest of the economy, because otherwise there's no point really. And so we need to change the mindset of those who have the power and those who can actually help drive the grassroots that we're talking about here. And that's a big ask, and that's going to be a big issue, because as I said, some big companies, African companies, are not reinvesting on the continent, and that's actually eroding a lot of what we are trying to do, is empowering Africa. And the other thing is, and I think you've mentioned it before, is we have, it's about everybody. Whatever you can do at your level, do it, and take control, and push your initiative ask, and one thing that I see right now, and I'm going to take again the example of the energy sector. Right now in Africa, we have energy poor, and there's at the same time the push for the climate, the Paris Climate Agreement, which is, that imposed to us in Africa. But we have our own needs. So it's the opportunity for us to define the need that we have and really start to have the energy policies and the kind of energy sector that we want to have. We have gas, we have oil. How can we use that? And if we really want to decarbonize, we can look at the technology to do that, but use what we have and really serve first the continent instead of just following what is imposed to us. Is that okay? Because we now want to follow the Paris climate, everybody has to go renewable, but we can't afford it in Africa because the maintenance. Yes, we have the wind. Yes, we have the solar, but all the maintenance coming with it, we can't. So we really have to define what we need, and using what we have right now and define what Africa really needs, and forget about, sometime about what is imposed to us. And I think it's gonna, demand a really important work mindset and people coming together to understand that it's about, yes, we're signing document, there is an agreement, but what do we want for Africa? What do we need? And how can we bring those solutions now without, listening to whatever is coming from outside Africa? Africa first, what do we need? What can we implement? What tools do we have? What are the strategies? And then drive this, this development and make it sustainable. And I think that's the key thing right now that I see, especially in my industry, is people not taking responsibility. And can you imagine, for a continent like Africa, with all the resources that we have, we don't even have a big multinational, African multinational. That's not, how can we explain that? I mean, everything is coming from here, and we don't even have a multinational. So it's starting. I mean, I can see in Nigeria now, Tony Elumilo, putting money into the sector. So that's really what we need. All those Africans who have, the capital power to start to distribute it into the economy, so that they can grow everybody and bring the people who are at the grassroots. And that's really where I see that we can make a difference. Otherwise, just having those agreements, it's not enough. It's not enough. We have to push it at any level. Grassroots, middle, high. We really have to push it so that we can create a better future for African.
Thank you so much. And I think as we are speaking to these people at the grassroots, we also need to help them change their mindset to believe in themselves and to believe in Africans. Because, from where I come from, the people in the grassroots, they are looking at the Obroni. The Obroni is the white person. The Obroni is, you take something to them, Obroni Neyayana, is it from a white person? So we need to change that mindset of, we don't need the Obroni, Sebe. We don't need the Obroni, you can do it. To gain that confidence in themselves that they can do it, to gain that trust that Black people can work and collaborate with Black people, like you said. So we have to sort of teach and change that sort of mindset, and even bring our children up now, to that sort of mindset that you can do it and you can. I mean, the chat on here is so powerful, it's so exciting, so many comments, people just hailing each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. And I can see over here, I can see Mrs. Aramide Adepoju. She's Taiwo's wife, Mr. Taiwo's wife. She actually screamed a huge spot on. She's also a lawyer as well. So I can see you, Mami, I can see you. And so many people on here. It is so exciting. I really don't want us to end, but let's do another maybe 10 minutes or so. But I'm really excited about this. And I think we can even start from today. If tomorrow morning you're buying Hausa cocoa from somebody, you can start to talk to her. So we I like the Farida said, sometimes we can have big sessions like this. Sometimes we could actually have a conference at the International Conference Center, 3,000 people. We will speak and we will speak and we'll speak. A year after, nothing has happened. So I think it's something that we as individuals need to take up on ourselves and say, I am going to start my AfCFTA in my home, in my surrounding. I am starting. And I like what Cynthia said as well about the copying. That's what we are very good at, Africa. We sit back, we just check this person is doing well, shame. We just start to copy. So if we all start to do this, it will ripple. I love that. I really love what she said, and it's so true. So I think we should take it up upon ourselves. Each of the panelists, everybody on here, giving so many comments, and it's just been amazing. Taiwo, many people are asking how they can reach you. Let me just answer that question quickly, because there are like 10 people. How can I get in touch with him? So please, just follow. Just go to Strength Africa on Instagram. Okay, Strength Africa. Let me just type it down here and just send him a DM. Or you can even email info@strengthafrica.com, okay? And then you can reach him. Are there any questions? Does anybody, let me quickly look through to see if there are any questions. It's mainly comments, a lot of people agreeing, saying, yes, 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 I do agree. And I hope in agreeing, you're saying you're also going to start. Yes.
Exactly. Start something at your level.
You're saying I agree, and I'm also going to start. Don't say I agree that they should start. We are watching. No, we are all going to start, each and everybody. Adejoke, I love this. Adejoke just said, I definitely pledge to do my part, to do more to lift women and youth up in building wealth and changing the lot of Africa. And that's what it is. And the education is educating them about their mindset and about confidence. I keep saying this. For a very, very long, well, not long because I'm not that old, but a few for the many years or the few years that I've been in business, what I've seen, even by watching those that I think should be more confident than they are, I realized that the reason why some people haven't gotten to where their vision is, where they should be, is just because there's a lack of confidence. They're not just believing in themselves. They have a product, but in their minds, they think that the one imported is better than theirs. And that's what they have said to themselves. So it's really, really, really a mindset thing. Senator Mark, I really want to hear from you. I really want to hear from you. You are the banker. What can the bank start doing?
Okay, so my colleagues have said so many beautiful things, and just one thing finally I want to add is the problem of access to capital. Every entrepreneur needs some liquidity, some capital to be able to start a business. But we have a problem here where the banking system has been designed such that if you do not present to your bank a collateral, let's say a landed property, even for a small business you want to start, your bank will not give you a loan. What I see is lack of innovation in the banking system, because there are so many things bankers can structure, so many financial instruments bankers can structure, looking at the kind of business you are doing, and then use those instruments to generate returns, to generate liquidity and give you capital. But here, it's as if the bankers here do not want to finance any business coming from Africa. But it's amazing that if you walk to a bank and you go with Obroni, like you said, and the business is owned by Obroni, the requirements that the bank will give you to meet to be able to have access to capital will be different from what the requirements will be for the Obroni. So why don't we have confidence in our own systems? Why don't we trust ourselves? So these are some of the things we've been talking about even at our level at the World Business Angels Forum. But one thing I've seen, and I always talk to my Ghanaian people who come to us looking for capital, is that sometimes it's also our fault. It is because we don't keep enough information. We don't write down, so we don't have data. So it happens that you meet people who have brilliant ideas. The ideas are all stuck up in their minds. You ask them to express it. What do you want to do? How do you see yourself in the next 5 years, the next 10 years? And they don't really have a laid down plan. But if you sit with them and you are verbally engaging them, you see that this is a beautiful thing, but they don't have any data to back it up. So
for us also, then some of the things we should also be thinking about, for us, I'm talking about the entrepreneurs who are listening to us here, is that for us to be bankable, we should also be able to have some data in place. We should write down our ideas on paper. And we should be able to pitch and defend the idea that we have. So even if our banks here reject us, definitely, there are funds around that are looking for projects. There are so many idle funds around looking for projects to invest into. So even if you are not accepted in your own continent, Africa, we can help you. If you come to an institution like mine, we can prepare you and show you to some of these financiers who will give you funds. We've done that for so many people who have taken their work seriously, and your work can be done. So that's the little I can say to add to what we are saying now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And we all heard that he said we should come to him and he'll prepare us. You all heard. He said he will show us where the funds are. So we have your details. We'll be coming over very soon. Thank you so much. And you should, this is what conferences like this are for. It's not for you to just listen, making contact, networking, learning. Oh my goodness, this is the person that can help me do this. You take the details down. Not, hi, I saw you, can we take a selfie? Sometimes we go to conferences and at the end it's just selfies so that people will see that I was with the prince. People will see that I was with this person. And at the end, you didn't make any connection for yourself. Do you see what I mean? This is what we are doing here. We are learning. So to find out how many people are offering free services, so if you really do need it, you take the contact and you make correct contact. Do you see? You're not wasting anybody's time, but you're making correct contact so that you can develop. And it's just been so awesome. I don't know why, I just feel like there's just something you can add to this. You have been in business for many years. You have different businesses, not just one business. You have different thriving businesses. You travel a lot, you go and you bring goods and all of that. So you understand what we are talking about. You've gone through customs many times, so what would you say? What is the change?
Thank you, Renee.
Sorry, Dido. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
This
Yeah.
is Amarola, the summit anchor. Hi. Hello, everyone. I've been listening to every single person. So, Dido, just before you answer that, I just want to let us know that we have officially gone way beyond the time allocated for the summit. So, once you're done with that, I would love you. Okay, can you hear me now? Someone press the mute button. So once you're done with that, Dido, I would love for you to give your final words and then we'll go through each panelist so that we can wrap up the session and then end the summit, okay? So once you're done answering that question, please give your final word of advice to everyone watching the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Renee, I think that we've had such a very interesting and diverse discussion today. And I know that from what Farida said, we all have a lot to say when it comes to that. And sometimes the question is, we say that let's not make it just a talk. If it comes to something like customs, there's only so much we can do. We can push, we can say, we've done so many things, but then it has to come from our leadership. They need to put the right policies and things like that together. So I guess what it means for us is to keep pushing, whether it's to try and do something that will make us visible so that they can see that this is the problem we have and we want you to give us a solution. So with what we're talking about, like we all said, Cynthia said, and Renee, you also said on the back of that, we can start having conversations about AfCFTA and trying to make people aware of what it potentially presents for us so that it's not a document that's just been signed and it's going to sit there and we're not going to see it come to fruition. If it's a good thing, we want to start talking about it. We want to start understanding it and seeing how it can help us grow. But coming down to how it will translate to helping our businesses, I like the fact that you said that our mindset and all of that, and it's so true. It's so important. Yesterday I was watching the Steve Jobs, the movie Jobs, and I was just looking at how a mindset can change the things that you do. And it just takes one person's mindset. And if you look at all the obstacles that you face as a business. And so for me, that's one of the key things that have driven me, because Renee, you know where my store is in Accra, and in the airport city. It costs a lot for rent, but there's something that drove me to do what I was doing. And I don't think I was made to be confined in a corner store and brick and mortar, online and all of that. That is my jam. And so I want to do it at a certain level. I don't want to be confined in a certain corner. And there's been so many people who say, why are you paying so much rent and that and that? And then all we see is the Lebanese, and it's not to say they're not doing good for our countries, but they're the people who are representing businesses that are big, and we just keep ourselves small. So as business owners, we need to start thinking real big and start finding ways that we can project, or we can come out with the dreams and ideas that we have and make them viable. And so really, we need to start learning best practices from other people. Now, let me just conclude by saying one of the things that I've seen is I try to bring people who produce different things into retailing their products. But then I see there's some sort of resistance because we don't understand retail. And that's something that we need to learn. If you go to a business in Europe or wherever, and they have systems in place on what prices to give to somebody who is a distributor, who is going to retail and all of that. But when it comes down to us, the person who is producing beautiful handbags, she wants to be the only one selling her beautiful handbags. And she hasn't thought of, I could have this bag being sold in 10 different stores in Accra. And if every week I'm selling 2 of them, or from each of these people, that's the ripple effect is going to give me. They're so protective of their product and their pricing and all of that. And so we need to start opening up our minds to understand how some of these things work. You can't bring me a product and say you're giving it to me for 10 CDs and I need to sell, and I need to sell it at 10 CDs and you're giving it to me at 9 CDs. You need to understand the dynamics of retail. And so those are the things that we need to actually understand if we have to open up to Africa and to the world. Because if I have a product that's going to work, I can't be so protective of my pricing. I need to understand how I can break it down. So at the end of the day, the effect is going to be for you, because you're going to be able to distribute to a wide network, which you hitherto didn't have. So that's what I want to say, that let's embrace ourselves. And this thing about mindset, that's my closing remark. This thing about mindset, about building ourselves, about being resilient, is so important, because that's what is going to make you different from other people. That's what is going to make you keep staying in the game. I've been in business for 16, 17 years, not because I'm the most brilliant or because I have the most brilliant ideas, but it's just because of resilience, because there's so many times that I could have folded up, but I didn't do that. I took the other route. So that's what I would say to anyone who's listening. Be resilient and find any way, anyhow, that you can learn to get out there and be the best at whatever you are doing. So thank you very much. And it's been great knowing, learning from all of you. I think we can drop our Instagram handles, and then we can get in touch with each other. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam. Thank you. We really appreciate you. And yes, we are going to put a list of all the social media handles of all the speakers, panelists, and also team members of the organizing committee, so that you guys can actually engage with them, follow them, and also collaborate with them, because that is part of the reason why this summit has been set up, for us to be able to work with each other. We've said it all, that too much talking. We've been talking and talking and talking. It's time for action. So I'm going to ask Farida to please give us our closing remarks from this session as we move on to the next agenda. So Farida, what would you like to say to all the viewers as a closing remark?
Thank you. I'd like to touch on something that Ade talked about financial inclusion for the ordinary person in the street. I worked in fintech for the past 10 or so years, so I understand what it takes to promote financial inclusion, what I'll say is that it has to be easy. It has to be easy for the other partners to use. And our problem is our banks don't make things easy. Mark will attest that last year, mobile money did better than all the banks in Ghana. Why? Because it was easy, it was convenient, and even for those of us who have bank accounts, we prefer to use mobile money because if I want to send money to somebody in the village, I don't now have to go to the bank and queue and do a bank transfer, which will take 24 hours or even 6 hours to institute. All I do is sit there with my phone, and within a few seconds, the person has the money. So why wouldn't people prefer that method of money transfer? Secondly, it doesn't take the KYC requirements for mobile money are very minimal compared to the banks. So these are barriers that exist that prevent people from coming into the banking sector. And unless the banks find a way of removing those barriers, which I know is very difficult because they are mandated by the central bank to have those requirements, they will continue to have this problem of people being unbanked. Right now, mobile money in Ghana has more accounts than the bank than all the banks put together in the country. Why? Because it is easy, it is convenient, and transferring money onto it is very fast. So please, if we really want this thing to work, we have to make it easy to use. We have to strip away the big English and make it simple for the ordinary person on the street to understand. Because believe me, our grandmothers were market women who were doing mental arithmetic that you and I cannot do today, and they have no formal education. So that should tell you that the people who are in the informal sector are very smart, regardless of the fact that they don't have formal education. So please, let's make things easy for them, so that they will sign on to whatever it is we are doing, and Africa will benefit as a whole. Thank you.
Wow, what a powerful closing remark that you just gave. Powerful, Farida. And thank you so much for thinking about the people that are at the grassroots level, the people that are in the formal sector of entrepreneurship that has been driving our economy in all spheres of Africa for generations to come, that many of us forget and neglect, especially when we move forward in the new normal and with the technological advance that we have. So the finance sector needs to also be very, very aware of the fact that they need to upgrade their system and be more customer-centric if they want to stay necessary and relevant in the coming days. Thank you so much. We're going to move to Senator Mark to give his closing remarks. So, sir, what would you like to say in closing to the people out there?
Thank you, Madam. So I simply want to conclude that the continent on which we are is the next big thing. And the Europeans know. So it's a coveted continent because we have everything. We have everything. So we shouldn't underestimate what we have and underrate our own powers. One thing I can assure everybody is that if the banks in Ghana say no to you, there are institutions that are around out there, not necessarily within the African continent, that are ready to come. They are ready to invest funds, money on this continent in projects here because they know that the future is here. So for those young entrepreneurs who are listening to us and the startups and the scale-ups, if you need capital and you go to your bank and the bank makes the KYC process so difficult for you, like Farida just said, just to discourage you from coming, we are going to share our contacts. Please contact people like us. We will expose you to financiers and funds that are out there that are targeted at the African continent. We're talking about agricultural funds, we're talking about transportation, infrastructure, manufacturing. They are all there ready to come. So in my place, all we'll do is to find a way of properly preparing you, just 1 or 2 page document, so you can properly pitch your project and get funding. So come to us if you need funding for any project. There are doors open for you out there. Don't worry if your bank says no to you, please.
Thank you so much, Senator Mark. In fact, I was just smiling broadly when you said, come to us. I was just thinking about, when Jesus said, come to me, all those who are heavy and heavy laden. So I'm like, Senator Mark is saying, those of you that are heavy laden with finances, you better come to him and his people, and they will show you the way. If there's nothing else you've derived from this summit, I believe that that is the best thing for most of you that have been bogged down with this issue of finances. So thank you so much for making such a warm address and telling people, come to. So he's open. If he denies you access, please report him to Taiwan because he's made a public declaration that you can come to him. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you for your time spent with us today. So I'm going straight to Michelle. Michelle, what are your closing remarks for all the wonderful people that have spent time with us today at the summit?
Sure, thank you. Thanks for that. I mean, echo a lot of the comments that have been said already. I'm also with the World Business Angels Forum, so Senator Mark is not lying. I'm also a senator there, so definitely reach out to us in terms of access to finance. But, generally, the closing remark really more around we need to be able to create choice. I think Farida hit the nail on the head. Because at the end of the day, if you can provide solutions that are easy and convenient, which is what we are doing in the digital economy, if I'm being really frank, is actually we're going to disrupt a lot of what's out in the marketplace that is not servicing people, that is not personalized, that is not reaching the entrepreneur or the woman. So for us, it's very much about actually delivering for people on the ground, delivering for those who don't have access, looking to get people who are unbanked, and they don't necessarily have to go to a bank, but you can literally tap on new digital financing services that are actually there. In order to actually take advantage of that, I think it's very, very critical that we look at educating and skilling our people so they can themselves empower themselves and get out there and get those solutions that we're talking about. It's important to look at things like, blockchain. It's important to look at data. I talked about it earlier on. If we cannot have that data, as everybody has said already, I think we are limiting our ability, we're limiting our opportunities for growth. It's up to us, I think, as Africans, it's up to us as Africans to drive our own agenda, drive our own story, believe in ourselves, because you can certainly do it. I make a very strong call to all African women, because you are literally your own boss. You can be your own boss. You can be your own bank, right? You don't necessarily have to go to a bank. You can look at the solutions out there. You can get at, the money that you need, but it's not just about money. You need to share that knowledge. You need to be able to go to the next woman. You have to work together. You have to support one another. Let's stop competing with one another. We're there to support one another. We need to grow together. We need to support one another. The solutions are there. The tech, the money is there. But we need to be able to understand how to navigate the space to get access to what we need. I believe in the African woman. I believe in Africa as a whole. I believe in CFTA. I think CFTA, yes, has paved the way in terms of the policy frameworks, but it's up to every single individual on this call, on this panel, across the continent, including diaspora. Let's not forget diaspora. Diaspora are also Africans. Let's also embrace them. Let's reach out to them. Let's work with them, in order for us to drive the continent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I love it. We need to embrace the fact that the power to have choices is in our hands, and that the drivers of the change that we all seek is within each and every one of us. Thank you so much. And especially as a champion for women, that the women should stop sitting down and folding their arms. It's time for you to arise and take the stage, take those leadership reins and keep going forward, because we can actually collaborate together and make this Africa the place that it's supposed to be, because we are one, we're connected all together. Thank you so much, Michelle. Moving swiftly to His Royal Highness Prince Tumelo. What is your closing remarks for the people today? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam. All right, so I'd like to say the similarities, to this collaborative, inter-country collaboratives are there, and they're very glaring to us. The barriers, the challenges that needs to be overcome by all of us are very similar. And I like what has already been alluded to, I think by one of the attendees, to say that we need to take ownership of the AfCFTA because it is our own, it's for our own good, it is for our own benefit. As Africans, this is a platform and a tool that has been created for us. And we look up to the leadership, to lead us in the right direction, but there's also a lot that we can do as the citizens and the inhabitants of Africa. And I said on one of the platforms recently, the American Institute of Education, that the world is actually looking towards Africa for the solutions for the next decades. The diasporians across the globe are wanting to come back home, to find solutions that can connect them to their roots, back in Africa. But they don't want to come back to an Africa without solutions. And if that be the case, they will then come with whatever solutions they may have from other parts of the world, which may not necessarily be suitable, I think, for what we want to achieve as Africa. A lot has already been said about mobilizing support for our women, for our youth, and also the grassroots. And I want to maybe touch on the strength of women. And now here in South Africa, in the past, we've had what is normally called the Stokvels. Now, the way the Stokvels, which were very much driven from a women point of view, was to contribute some financial terms on a monthly basis into some common coffers. But the main purpose was for them to be able to buy groceries and feed their families, at the end of the year during the festive and all that. But what we are seeing now recently is that these Stokvels are being scaled up, to the level of creating a venture, a capital fund that will become a venture to assist women-led, women-focused businesses. And that is a starting point indeed. As some of you say, as much as we look up to the leadership, we can all start somewhere. So there is one classic example of a place where we can all start and saying whatever these small contributions we've been making towards this outputs or target area, can we maybe redirect that, towards building our businesses in terms of then assisting us to be able to participate in this free trade area designation or dispensation. Thank you, Madam.
Hey, okay, I think there's some network glitch going on. It's been an amazing time. I honestly cannot even begin to explain how excited I am. Even from, I'm sure you can see the excitement, all over my face. This has been all to the glory of God, and we just can't take this for granted. I really want to use this opportunity. Unfortunately, Madam Mireille is out now, but I want to use this opportunity to thank everyone here, just brazing it all through. Michelle, I thank you. I appreciate you. Farida, you were excellent. Mireille, my sister, we have so much, yet unresolved, and yes, we'll deal with it. To Mark, oh, fantastic gentleman. I'm coming, it's not only those I have told, I'm coming with my proposals, and that's truly what some of the things that we're going to be doing. To Prince, His Royal Highness, I was telling him, not as a joke, I'm also a prince, so yes, the princes breathe this way, so yeah, that's the way. Renee, oh, Renee, oh, amazing. And then I have, yes, once again, I have my Madam Mireille. Madam Mireille, can you take us on this journey, and let's just go.
Thank you so much. My internet decided to just go off, so I was booted off. Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness Tumelo, for your closing remarks, and I will be moving swiftly to Mireille to give us her closing remarks. Thank you so much, ma'am.
No, Madam, they're all done with their closing.
Oh, Mireille has done hers?
It's for you to close us now. Yes. is for you to close us.
Wow, that was okay. As spoken, because I wanted Renee to also say something as the local organizing chairman of the committee that planned the summit. So Renee, can you hear me?
I can. Thank you so much, Madam Mireille.
So I just wanted you to say something to everyone as the local organizing committee chairperson.
Thank you so much. Now, I am so proud of this Ghana edition. Please, let's just clap for Ghana. Let's just clap for Ghana. Just believing that we're not just speaking here, but we're actually going to take it off. And I'm just so proud of what we've done. The speakers have been so amazing from yesterday to today. It's been so powerful. On one of the sessions, after one of the speakers spoke yesterday, somebody, actually the question was, where are you getting these speakers from? It's like, where are you getting, I mean, because the nuggets of wisdom, of knowledge that was shared was just so mind-blowing. That's the best description for it, mind-blowing. And we can't say thank you enough to all the speakers for your time. You've taken time to be with us, you know, from yesterday to today, everybody who joined and everybody who joined as well, who the attendees, all of you, we can't thank you enough. You know, from yesterday to today, over 150. And we can't say thank you enough. All the details of the of everybody on the panel will be shared, so you can contact them, like I said, but serious contacts alone, please. And you know, let's make this work. So we're going to start this individually, like we've all just said. We are not waiting for the government. We are not waiting for any lawyers. We are not waiting for anybody to come and say, I'm the AfTAC, you know, head of anything. We are going to take it upon ourselves, and we are going to start ourselves individually. I want to say thank you so much. The next trip, we are going to head to another African country very soon. You'll hear, I'm hearing buzzes that is sort of like Kenya or something. You will hear about it very soon. And please come on this journey with us. Let's walk through Africa together, because that's how we'll collaborate. Let's get to know each other. You know, let's not just keep it here. Let's get to know each other. And that is how we'll collaborate. And that is how we really will change Africa. Now, what came to my mind, I think one of the speakers said the future, I think it was Michelle who said, the future is now. The future is now. And then in my mind, what I heard is the future is Africa now. The future is Africa. We can make that change. Why are they all coming? Because they have seen, Senator Mark just said it, that there's something special in Africa. It's time for us to see it ourselves and take advantage of it. And that's what we are going to do after today. So we can't say thank you enough, really. Mr. Taiwo Adekoju, this man, when you say a man who does not give up, please, let's, you know, please, round of applause. Round of applause. This man, I'm telling you, you can wake up to 10,000 WhatsApp messages. How now, my sister, my Ghana sister? He has drive, and I just love that spirit, and that's the spirit each and every one of us should have. We see something, and we don't stop until we get it. And this has been so mind-blowing. I can't say thank you enough. Awesome, awesome. And I wish you all the very best. And I want to promise you that I am on this journey with you to all the other African countries. Dedo said here, he truly doesn't give up. And look at people. Aramide said, this man. The comments now are all about you, Mr. Taiwo. You have done an excellent job. Excellent job. And may God bless you and continue to give you the strength and that vision. May God continue to give you big ideas that have never been heard of. When you speak it, when you say it, it might sound ridiculous to some people, but it will happen and it will shock them. And it will just lead them onto this path, this journey that the Lord has started you on. So I can't say thank you enough. And to your wife for supporting you, Mrs. Aramide, you know, thank you so much for being here with us. God bless you so much, Mama. We can't say thank you enough. And to everybody, I can keep saying thank you and thank you and thank you. But please do join us on our next trip. We'll invite each and every one of you. We'll fly to Kenya. It might be free, maybe not free because you might need your internet, but come with us on that ticket to Kenya. So thank you so much. We wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much, Renee, for that really heartfelt speech. And yes, the journey began on the 1st of December with the Nigerian edition. And prior to that, it seemed like a very gigantic and humongous dream that would not take place. But due to the indefatigable visionary person that we have in Taiwo Adepoju and the amazing team of Strength Africa. Honestly, it has been a wonderful journey that brought us to this point on the 2nd and 3rd of March, where we've had the Ghana edition, and then we've still got 8 more other countries that we're going to tour in Africa. So I want Taiwo Adepoju to share something very briefly about Strength Africa, because they've powered this entire event for people to be able to watch for free. So Taiwo Adepoju, please share something about Strength Africa, how people can get in touch with Strength Africa, how they can also learn and be part of it, and then we will end the summit proper. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. And I must really commend and appreciate Madam Mireille. If they say someone is resilient and using that word indefatigable, I think that should also be alluded to you. And thank you for being with us on this journey. I also would like to thank the team. So we have a strong team. We are small, and almost like what Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of people can change the world. Indeed, that is the only thing that ever has. And that's how we have also moved, and we're moving across countries, hoping that even if we have a cluster, a small group of people with like minds, with like ideas, then the revolution of minds can begin to change and bring development across Africa. Okay, so Strength Africa, we are a business support company. We like to pride ourselves as the foremost in Nigeria, and hoping that over time we would have spread our tentacles across Africa. And when I say business support, we're saying we're not jack of all trades. What we do is that we help, acting as a catalyst to help businesses, all right, ideate, incubate, and implement their ideas. And, from there, we're able to bring people of like mind. So we have the financiers like Mark. So if you have any issues in Ghana, I can refer you to a banker or a financier in Ghana. If you have issues in Ghana, I have Cynthia. I could refer you to Cynthia. I have Michelle, the expert on digital currency. I have Mireille, an oil and gas expert somewhere down in Australia, but with an African passion. With Prince Tumelo, you are talking about South Africa. So Farida also deals with a constituency and panel. So that's what we're talking about. Beyond competition, we're saying collaborate. And that's what this whole thing is all about. Until Africa starts collaborating with each other, we will still have been on a long journey. Guys, it's about time. Let's seize the moment. It's the Africa we need. Thank you so much. I've had a wonderful time. I must say, to God be all the glory. Amen and amen. Amen.
And for that, I say amen, amen, amen. First and foremost, we want to thank the MVPs of this 2-day summit, and it's you, the viewers. Without you guys actually being there to listen to us, to engage with us, to also share your ideas and participate in everything we've done over the past 2 days, it would not have been as successful, as entertaining and enlightening as it's been. So we want to say a big thank you to all of you that have taken time out since yesterday to be with us. And we want to say that whatever you put your hands to do, the Lord will bless it for you. Your businesses will not fail. You will be able to pivot and move forward and build businesses, enterprises that would last for generations to come and will truly compete on the global market because you have what it takes. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to all the speakers, starting from Derrick today. It has been awesome. It's been power-packed. It's been so much information, so much depth of knowledge. Senator Mark, Prince Tumelo, Sister Michelle, God bless you all. Cynthia, Farida, Mireille, Dedo, you guys have really brought your A games today. The participants, people like Ade Joke and those that engage with so much passion and favor. Thank you. Thank you to our amazing, amazing moderator of the day, Renee. And of course, our one and only startup specialist, Taiwo Adepoju. My name is Madame Mireille. It's been an honor to be the Summit Startup Anchor. And of course, we look forward to you journeying with us on the next stage because Africa is one and Africa is ready to take its rightful place as the giant of the world. Who's coming with us? We hope you're going to be in that place with us because we truly want to own and be the giants of the world. Forget America, forget China, forget Australia, forget Europe. Africa is ready to rise and shine. And the people you see on the screen are going to be the ones championing that cause. Jump on the train. You better get yourself ready, because we look forward to engaging and working hand in hand with you to take us to the place where we rightfully belong. So next time we say, keep rising, Africa, because we are truly giants. God bless you all and enjoy the rest of the week. Bye from all of us here, and bye, everybody.
Bye. Whoa, thank God. Wow, awesome. Guys, hello, is everybody still there?
We're still with you, sir. We're still live.
Yes. So yeah, but yeah, we're having fun. This is the after party, so please share all the contacts. We're having fun with you. Thank you. Oh yes. Oh,
come on.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. I see Prince Alpa. Yeah, okay. So everyone, thank you. Thank you so much.
You guys are
thank you, Solomon. Thank you, everyone. And yes, to everybody, thank you. Wow. All right, guys, I'm out of here.